Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very exciting draft for you here. We got news. Marlon Mack no longer with the Houston Texans, so I guess you are just going to continue to see Dameon Pierce go earlier and earlier and earlier. Not only are we going to see Dameon Pierce going earlier, but you are going to get to see me go up against drafters that are significantly better than I am, where I possibly punt off $500 in the last high-stakes draft of the offseason. But thank you for checking this out. Thank you for coming out here. Let's swing this over. We are going to be picking at the 109. 109's an interesting spot. I really hope that we get Stefon Diggs making it to us, but in reality, it's probably not going to happen. In reality, we probably have to go through and end up taking Dalvin Cook, end up taking Derrick Henry, but we don't know yet. Let's not speculate on what we'll have at the 109 until we see some other teams. And of course, if you're watching this as a video later on, fix your life, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you're able to come out here and you're able to hang out with us in the live stream. We have these every single night, and if we hit 90,000 subscribers on the channel, we are getting a 24-hour draft underway. But we have Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey off the board here with the first two picks. Okay. No surprises here. No, I don't even think we have to start talking about this draft until we get past the first 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't think we have to start talking about it. And we have a crap ton of people out here already. J-Wall, Odeer, Ryan, Chibichanga, Bobcat, Thomas, Corvette. We got all the regulars. Thank you, you sickos, you diehards, for coming out here, watching me lose some money again for the probably 100th night in a row. I appreciate y'all. And here we got Cooper Kupp falling to pick 5. Dylan deciding to take Ja'Marr Chase here over Kupp now. I don't want to come out here and talk too poorly on this because definitely Dylan's probably a better drafter than me, or at least in Dynasty. I know in Dynasty, Dylan's out here crushing it. But it seems like Ja'Marr Chase over Cooper Kupp, even if you're worried about the Stafford elbow. That is pretty tough. We got Derrick Henry off the board. Let's go ahead. Let's take Davante Adams. We haven't taken Davante Adams much, but I think when we take Adams here, that value that we like making it back to us in the second round, as well as specifically in those mid rounds where you have that historical running back dead zone. But this year you're getting guys like Josh Jacobs in the 7th. I want to be taking advantage of that running back value. So let's go Davante Adams. Let's mix it up. Of course, this is because we're drafting on Underdog. This is a league where you have to start 3 wide receivers and it's best ball. So these wide receivers are going to slide up in your regular shallow redraft format. If you start 2 running backs, 2 receivers in a flex, you never think about Davante Adams here. You either hit Travis Kelce, you hit Dalvin Cook. Adams is not even into your thought process, but we have to adjust for a league format here. We have Lamb going at 13. I would have been very upset if we had Lamb making it back to us at 16 and we wasted the Davante Adams pick there. And of course, not wasted, but where we wouldn't have had to go Davante Adams, where we could have gone Dalvin Cook and then CeeDee Lamb. Okay, so Joe Mixon off the board here at 14. So we are going to get a running back making it back to us. Let's go ahead. Let's take Saquon Barkley. I mean, if you're looking at my rankings right now, I do have Aaron Jones ranked over Saquon Barkley in a full PPR format. This is going to be half PPR at the same time. If we're going to be looking at ADP here, I think we got to mix it up a little bit. Y'all know we've done over 700 of these drafts on Underdog. We have a decent amount of Saquon Barkley. We have a decent amount of Aaron Jones here, but let's go Saquon Barkley because now it looks like in a lot of these drafts going forward, you're going to be able to get Aaron Jones in the late second on Underdog. And of course, if y'all ever want to get in these drafts with us, you should know this already unless you've legitimately been living in a cave, living under a rock over the past few months. I'm sure you've seen everybody and their mom drafting on Underdog Fantasy. It's because it's the best place to draft. And with Underdog Fantasy, they're best ball drafts, so you don't submit your starting lineup every single week. The best starting lineup's automatically submitted for you at the end of the week, and there are no waivers since you draft 18 rounds. So this is why I'm able to get in 700 Underdog drafts this offseason. There's no time commitment at all. So it's the perfect spot if you've already drafted your fantasy football team this year, or maybe you have a draft coming up where you really want to focus in on that team during the season. You can go and get some extra drafts in on Underdog, and it takes none of your time going forward. And of course, when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, you get into drafts with us. And on top of that, with promo code FLOCK, they match your deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. So it's free to try out. You get our 2022 rankings and our 2022 fantasy football draft guide, which should help you out a ton. But Mark coming out, thank you, my friend, says, did you see the silly Amazon football for Thursday nights? Stafford threw one for 100 yards almost, allegedly. No, I did not see anything about this. Let me look this up on Twitter. And Derek asking if we're getting the Bulldog. Yes, I think this will be the last high-stakes draft we get in this offseason. Underdog just launched a $500 contest. And it's a single entry, so you can only enter once. Honestly, I don't think we would have enough money to go through and enter more times than once. We've already entered a $500 league this offseason, but we're going to do another one. Okay, so Matthew Stafford's elbow seems just fine considering he threw a fake football 100 yards like it was nothing. Are you joking? Amazon literally has... Okay, it's a joke, right? I'm assuming it's a joke. I'm looking at the tweet from NFL on Prime Video. I will show this here. I'm assuming it's a joke. We're getting trolled. But let's swing this over. So we've gone Saquon Barkley, Devontae Adams through the first two rounds. Let's see. We got DJ Moore coming back to us in the third. Y'all know I'm a massive fan of DJ Moore here. I think it's going to be a no-brainer selection. Let's look at this tweet. I just want to show y'all this real quick. I'm assuming that this is a joke, but... Okay. Yeah. I'm going to be operating under the assumption that it's a joke. This is the first time I've heard anything about this. I feel like it would be, crazy. Imagine how funny it would be, though, if that was an action. Like, Amazon spent enough money for Thursday Night Football where they're like, you know what, Roger Goodell? We just gave you $500 million for Thursday Night Football. We want to make this like MLB, where we go through and we change the ball every few years. We can just do whatever we want with the ratings, and we are going to try to get the most points up on the board as possible, and they changed the ball. It's like a Nerf ball. That would be hilarious. Okay. So now we have Jalen Waddle off the board here, 37. Gabriel Davis officially up here with an ADP of 40. We're probably not going to go Gabe Davis. You have Allen Robinson off the board. We're going to go ahead and we're going to instead take Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin has been a player we've been drafting a decent amount in the fourth round. I mean, this is a wide receiver that you are looking at, in my opinion, a significant quarterback upgrade. I know nobody at this point likes Carson Wentz, but I'll say if we are going to be comparing Carson Wentz to Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz is an upgrade. Okay, Carson Wentz is an upgrade. I think if we look at what you've had in Washington over the past few years, probably the best quarterback that Terry McLaurin's ever played with. Okay. Derek coming out says, just a heads up, if you're going to join one, I'll hop in and, oh yeah, drop a like and subscribe. Yes, sir. I'm sitting in the lobby right now in that Bulldog. I know we probably got a couple sharks out here in this live draft that are wanting to come out here and take our $500. More than welcome. Come out here and take our $500 from us in the high stakes draft. We are sitting in the lobby and there are 8 options available. Okay. Now we have Jerry Jeudy off the board here, pick 44. Juju Smith-Schuster goes 42. Honestly, y'all know, maybe it's just because I've been burned and I've lost too much money on Juju Smith-Schuster in years past. But Juju at 42, it's tough for me. It is very tough for me. I somewhat understand the thought process when people decide to go ahead. They decide to take Juju Smith-Schuster at the very end of the 4th when they know they're going to get Patrick Mahomes at the beginning of the 5th, and they're able to go through. They're able to correlate those 2 picks. But I would say when you take Juju Smith-Schuster 42, you are highly unlikely to get Patrick Mahomes on the way back around to pick 55. So personally, I'm not a fan of that. Personally, that's not something I'm going to be doing. Gabriel Davis finally off the board here, pick 48. I mean, with Gabe Davis, a player that if you look at his ADP in just casual redraft leagues, like if you're looking at his ADP on Fantasy Pros or something, honestly, he's going outside the top 60 picks. You're getting him in like round 6 or 7. And if you're getting Gabriel Davis to just your regular home casual redraft league in the 6th or 7th round when we're just chasing elite level ceilings, great pick. On Underdog, I have a very hard time drafting the man because he does have an ADP at pick 40. Okay. Ray says, hey, Flock, what's your email? I used promo code for Underdog, but never got your draft guide. Thank you. You can find my email address in the description of this live stream. And of course, guys, when you go and sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code Flock, if you made that $10 deposit, they're going to match the deposit dollar for dollar up to $100 that second. So if you make that account on Underdog Fantasy and use promo code Flock and deposit $10, you'll see $20 in your account immediately. But to get our draft guide and to get our rankings, it's going to take a few hours to go through the Underdog system, and it'll be emailed to the email address you signed up for Underdog with. If you don't see it in your primary inbox, check your spam. And if you're using Gmail, if you don't see it in your spam, look in your promotions as well. It could potentially be in your promos. Okay, let's swing this around. Obviously, Darren Waller falling with him missing training camp. Not necessarily the best thing in the world to see that happen at this point. But I think if Darren Waller were to fall to us, we probably go ahead. We take Darren Waller here. I mean, we are going to get some correlation with this Las Vegas Raiders passing offense where we have Davante Adams as well. So if we go ahead, we get Darren Waller, pick 57. I mean, we set ourselves up with an easy stack of just being able to get Derek Carr on the way back around, potentially at pick 112. But Shady coming out, thank you, my friend, says, how do you feel about Dobbins if Kenyon Drake gets signed? Should I trade Dobbins away for someone? I have Lamar, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Kyle Pitts, and Juju Smith-Schuster. Guys, I don't really want to talk about this. Y'all know I've drafted a ton of J.K. Dobbins this year. And I was even more excited whenever we had the reports that Gus Edwards is going to the PUP, of course. I mean, very, very exciting. But I think that we don't necessarily expect Kenyon Drake to eat into the ceiling of J.K. Dobbins down the stretch. But what I think a signing of Kenyon Drake would indicate is that J.K. Dobbins is just simply not healthy. And he's not good to go through the first few weeks of the season, which if you're drafting on somewhere like Underdog where you're trying to prioritize weeks 15, 16, 17, not the end of the world. I'm still going to be drafting J.K. Dobbins. But in the casual redraft format, he may not be able to start Dobbins through the first month of the season. Very scary. Now, Shaz coming out says 12 teams, half PPR. Real quick, speaking of Dobbins, we're taking Dobbins. We're taking J.K. Dobbins as our running back too. This is the entire reason we decided to go Davante Adams round 1 so we could take advantage of this value at running back later on with the J.K. Dobbins at 64. But Shaz coming out says a 12-team half PPR, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, in a flex, where we got the elite level quarterback in Lamar Chase. We have the elite level tight end in Travis Kelce. Hell yes. If you can only start the combination of 5 running backs and receivers, I think it's so important to go out there and get that elite level quarterback and that elite level tight end, which is exactly what we have here. Beyond that, Jamar Chase, Michael Pittman at wide receiver, J.K. Dobbins, Tony Pollard at running back. On the bench, we have some other high upside running backs. We got guys like Ramondre Stevenson, Kareem Hunt, Brian Robinson. So I like the team. What I would say is, literally, I love the team. There's only one small adjustment we can make. And this is so league dependent, where if you're playing in that casual redraft format, where you can only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. In that league in particular, I don't think Isaiah McKenzie has a high enough ceiling for Isaiah McKenzie to even be worth a roster spot, if we're going to be honest. Like in a league where you can only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, I'm going to be trying to use those spots in the very end of our bench with either rookies or running backs that are potentially just an injury away where you could see them step up into a very nice role if a starter were to go down in front of them. So because it's such a shallow format, I love the team, but I do think we go ahead and we drop Isaiah McKenzie, especially in a half PPR league. But Rich coming out, thank you, my man, says, what would you do in a scenario that's a 12-team keeper superflex league? We're keeping Herbert in the 4th, Swift in the 3rd, Mike Williams in the 11th. We have the 101 pick. Are we going to go Mahomes, who has the same buy as Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Jonathan Taylor, and Christian McCaffrey? I think we definitely go QB, whether it's going to be Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, up to you. I'm not worried about the bye week with these options. What I would say is I think we go Lamar because I'm assuming that we're not going to have any shot at getting a Travis Kelce. It's going to be hard for us to stack him up with Juju Smith-Schuster, assuming that he possibly is kept. With Lamar Jackson, I think when in doubt, you just go ahead and take him over Patrick Mahomes because Lamar's going to be someone that you don't have to stack later on. Because Lamar, when you make that draft pick, you're betting on the overall rushing production you should have, not necessarily the passing volume. Where obviously, if you go ahead and draft Patrick Mahomes, you're betting on the passing volume. So I feel like you have to stack him. Okay. But Tyler coming out, thank you, my friend, says, full PPR, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and no flex. So just a very shallow format. We got Jalen Hurts, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews. And then the bench, we have Alexander Madison, Miles Sanders, Brian Robinson, Brandon Ayuk, Christian Watson. What do we think of this squad? I think it's a very strong team. What I would look to do if we possibly can is I'd really like to try to move off of Jalen Hurts for either Kyler Murray to pair him up with Hollywood Brown, or maybe we can just go and get Jalen Hurts' #1 option in the receiving game in A.J. Brown if we were to be able to trade T. Higgins for A.J. Brown. I mean, it's like a coin flip, whoever goes higher in drafts at this point between those two wide receivers. So if we could try to get some correlation in there with Jalen Hurts, I think that's going to make a lot of sense. And I think it could be just natural to move T. Higgins for A.J. Brown or move Jalen Hurts for Kyler Murray. But Dameon Pierce off the board here, 77. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie. We just recorded our updated top 36 running back rankings video for Friday. And we put Dameon Pierce ahead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, someone that we've been drafting very, very often. We did have to move up Dameon Pierce to, I believe, the running back 25 from where we previously had him as the running back 30. So he is jumping some of these other running backs in this range for me. So I'm not going to come out here and say anything negative about the pick. But we already have two running backs. We have the elite level tight end. Let's go ahead. Let's take Amari Cooper when he falls past ADP here. I think after Amari, you are going to expect a teardrop at wide receiver. Whereas someone like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, we can still get him on the way back around. And I think we have to be somewhat more concerned about Clyde Edwards-Helaire at this point if we're going to be looking at the running back room in Kansas City with Ronald Jones coming back, looking a little more congested than we thought it was going to be a week ago. So I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a player that gets a small hit just based on how many bodies are going to be in that running back room. So let's go ahead. Let's take Amari Cooper. And real quick, we are not even 20 minutes into the live stream, and we already have 200 likes in the stream. Thank y'all so much for everybody going down there, smashing that like. Y'all know I appreciate you. In our next draft, we have 6 spots left to be open. So if any of the sharks in this live stream want to come out here and take our $500, we are sitting in the $500 draft lobby on Underdog Fantasy. So I'm assuming our next draft's going to be that $500 one. So I think you want to stick around and watch us lose probably too much money. Now we have Dallas Goedert here, 84. Derek says, I know, just trying to get some people in the draft if they actually... Okay, so Derek, let me know what your read is on this Kansas City Chiefs running back situation. So are they going in? Let me just double check. Okay, Sky Moore off the board here, 86. So are they going into the season with Isaiah Pacheco, Ronald Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Jerick McKinnon? Are they going into the season with 4 running backs in this roster? I think that we should be more worried for Clyde Edwards-Helaire than we previously have been, where I haven't slowed down at all drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the 7-8 turn. We weren't drafting CEH when he had the higher ADP at the 6-7 turn earlier this offseason. Like if I look at my exposures where it feels like we've been drafting CEH nonstop over the past month, because we were doing a ton of drafts earlier in the offseason when he was more expensive and we were avoiding him, we only have him in 12% of drafts. I feel like we have him in more because how much we've been drafting him over the past month. But I feel like he has to drop down some in our rankings if there's going to be 4 running backs going into the season. But Derek, give me your thoughts here, because obviously I know you're our resident Kansas City Chief fan. We need some help with this. But TJ Hawkinson going right after our Kadarius Toney pick. I mean, with Toney, I think it makes a lot of sense. We decided to go through and we decided to make the bet on to make the bet on Saquon Barkley a little earlier on. So maybe we just get that potential double stack with Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and Kadarius Toney later on. I mean, we have Adams and Darren Waller for that double stack with Las Vegas. So I think we have a natural 2 quarterback pairing between the combination of Derek Carr and Daniel Jones we can target later. Derek says, Clyde running back 1. McKinnon plays more third downs. Isaiah Pacheco is randomly going to play. Jones is inactive on most days unless an injury. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a fine pick still. Okay. Thank you, my friend. I'll say we're probably not drafting CEH. Like, I guess if we were drafting him late 7th, what's the difference between drafting him early 8th? Once we got the Rojo's news, though, I did move Clyde Edwards-Helaire below Dameon Pierce, which I would imagine most people would say we should have done that before. We've also moved him below Tony Pollard, specifically in full PPR formats. So I did update the rankings slightly, moving down Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even though it was a painful thing for me to do. Like I said, we've been drafting him nonstop over the past 2 months. Now, after we take Kadarius Toney, you have only 2 more wide receivers off the board here with Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Robert Woods. Craig coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says, what's up, Mason? OU rival here to say horns down this year, baby. Also, please talk me off the ledge because I took Darren Waller in the 6th round of my 4-keeper league. I feel terrible about it. Okay. I just took Darren Waller in the 5th round in a non-keeper format. So we can assume in a keeper league, the 6th round is probably actually like the 7th, 8th round of your real fantasy football league. Of course, Darren Waller should be a player that's sliding down fantasy draft boards. He's not a training camp. It looks like he wants a new contract. I don't know exactly what's going on with Las Vegas. But based on the target share we've seen with Darren Waller over the past 2 seasons, based on the fact that Davante Adams may not necessarily help Darren Waller overall, because I do think the volume dramatically goes down for Darren Waller, but it increases his touchdown upside. We've seen Darren Waller with the touchdown rate extremely low over the past 2 seasons. If Adams could take some defensive attention away to give Darren Waller a small bump in the red zone, which he's been very bad in that area of the game over the past 2 years, I still think that Darren Waller's a fine pick. Hell, we took him pick 57. So if you took him in the 6th round of your keeper league and you are screwed, we are really screwed taking him at pick 57. And of course, OU sucks. Hook 'em horns. That's all I got to say. OU sucks. Get those horns out, baby. Now let's move this back around. George Pickens officially before Treylon Burks in ADP. Treylon Burks, one of my most drafted wide receivers over the past month. We've been hammering him anytime Burks is past pick 100. I feel like it's an auto pick for us. Christopher says, how do you feel about Rondale Moore? What round are you drafting him in? To be honest, on Underdog, I feel like Rondale Moore, if anything, is a little bit overvalued. I mean, where is Rondale Moore in this ADP? I mean, is Rondale Moore already off the board here? There's no way he's off already, is he? No. Okay, Rondale Moore here at pick 112. That's what I thought he was. I don't know why we skipped over his name. But to be honest, on Underdog, I've not been drafting him because I feel like this ADP just lines up with legitimately the Kyler Murray team. The Kyler Murray team is always here at the 5-6 turn. So because the Kyler team's usually here, if they miss out on the Hollywood Brown stack, they go ahead, they just reach on Rondale Moore. So unless you have Kyler Murray, I'm really never taking Rondale on Underdog. And specifically in your shallow redraft formats, he's a guy that's worth a spot at the very end of your bench. But given his average depth of target last year, I am very concerned about the overall upside that he would have in a redraft league for you to be able to go out there and turn him into an every week starter. If you look at the average depth of target for Rondale Moore, who I loved coming out of Purdue, like smart people were saying, oh, he's too small. He's not going to work out. He's a gadget player. I was saying, no, he broke out at 18 years old. He declared early. He's an elite level athlete. He's great. Of course, we were wrong in that. I'm ready to throw in the towel instead of drafting Rondale Moore in this range, though. Now, let's move this. Rod says, Kupp, Davante Adams, Travis Etienne, Elijah Moore, the first 4 picks. Matthew Stafford, my quarterback, with Allen Lazard added later. I'm not a massive fan of Elijah Moore in the 4th, my friend. I really like going Kupp, Davante Adams through the first 2 rounds. I do feel like you have a significant edge over your league mates at the wide receiver position. But specifically, Elijah Moore in the 4th, I don't understand that. I feel like you could have gotten Elijah Moore a lot later. Especially if this is like a shallow redraft format where Davante Adams is falling to you in the 2nd round. I'd imagine there was great wide receiver value later. And yeah, guys, if you're just now coming in, this is a warm-up $3 draft. We are waiting in the $500 draft room on Underdog Fantasy. So, of course, if you are a shark and you want to come out here and you want to take our $500, you know where we are. You know where you can take it, my friend. You know where you can take it. But so far, at wide receiver, we have Davante Adams, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Kadarius Toney. At running back, we have Saquon Barkley, J.K. Dobbins, James Cook. We have the elite level tight end with Darren Waller. To be honest with you, I don't love the value of Derek Carr here, but for the build, we have to take Derek Carr. Like for the build, we're looking at Derek Carr double stacked up with Darren Waller and Davante Adams. So it does make a lot of sense, even if in a vacuum we have him ranked behind Matthew Stafford, even if in a vacuum we even have him ranked behind someone like Rodgers. Okay. But Henry coming out, thank you, my man, says, drafting Thursday, we have 1 quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, and a flex. There are big Eagles, Giants, and Bucks homers in the league. Who will they reach for, and how can I plan accordingly? Okay, to be completely honest with you, if people want to start reaching for players on those rosters, we're fine with it. You let them have them. Now, with this format, we've been talking about this a lot, and I am very surprised to hear how many people play in this kind of league in general. When you're playing in a league where you only start 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, because you can only start 3 wide receivers on a week-to-week basis, like, trust me, you should not play in this format. You should add a couple extra flex spots. But because you can only start 3 wide receivers on a week-to-week basis, they're going to be very much devalued, where I think what we need to be doing to adjust is we just need to go out there and grab the elite level tight end. Grab the elite level tight end. I'm fine reaching on a quarterback as well, especially a quarterback that has a rushing upside and potentially passing volume as well. Someone like a Kyler Murray would be the perfect example. Okay. But Alexander Madison, Kenneth Gainwell here. Shady coming out says, are you going to make a video on J.K. Dobbins later? We do talk about J.K. Dobbins I just recorded a running back rankings video for Friday. And we talk about Dobbins in that. We can talk about Dobbins again tonight if y'all want. Now, Joshua Palmer out here, pick 124. Don't necessarily know exactly what we want to make it back to us. I mean, I'm not a massive Kirk Cousins fan. Cousins falling 12 picks past ADP. We don't have a single Minnesota Vikings player. I don't want to take Cousins here and then have to reach on Irv Smith Jr. in the 12th. Jahan Dotson, 126. Did our guy already go? Yeah, I think our guy, Michael Gallup, already went pick 119. Y'all know I've just consistently been reaching on Michael Gallup, but when I'm drafting on the live stream with people a part of the flock, it is much harder for me to get that value on Gallup that you'll see elsewhere. Okay, Tolbert off the board. We're going to go ahead. We are just going to take Russell Gage. I mean, with Russell Gage, this was a player that was legitimately going in the 6th round. He was going in the 6th round earlier this offseason. Of course, a lot has changed. Like, he was being overdrafted in the first place, and his situation's gotten much worse. So he should have fallen about this much, but I think we're fine taking the discount on Gage. This is a wide receiver that at the end of the day did get paid $30 million and $20 million of that guaranteed to go over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we specifically want to be able to target Daniel Jones later on with our double stack of Kadarius Toney as well as Saquon Barkley. So I'm not dying to take Cousins here. I don't think he fits the build, so let's go Gage instead. But Hoovering Hans coming out. Thank you, my friend, says 3 wide receiver league. I kept Jonathan Taylor, took Justin Jefferson in the first. Interesting that Jefferson wasn't kept. Then we went T. Higgins, A.J. Brown, Lamar Jackson, Breece Hall, Jerry Jeudy, Michael Thomas. Great league. If you have to start 3 wide receivers every single week, and then you also have that flex spot, this is where we can build around that wide receiver position. Here's where we can go with that hero running back approach, which I think you did to a T with Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, and A.J. Brown. You freaking have Lamar Jackson as an elite level quarterback as well. Great team, my friend. Great team. There's not much for that I can say here. And what's the report with Isaiah McKenzie not practicing? We have 6 wide receivers already. Let's go ahead. Let's take Michael Carter. We'll go Michael Carter as our running back 4. Because this is not a tournament style draft on Underdog Fantasy, instead, this is going to be a private draft on Underdog. I think you are more incentivized to go with a running back heavier approach, considering the fact that we're not chasing a top 1 percentile outcome when we draft in these private drafts, when we're drafting and only having to beat 11 other people in this entire field, and it's cumulative scoring where you don't have the fantasy football playoffs in weeks 15, 16, 17. If you treat it like a tournament draft, you are going to lose. You have to go a little bit more running back heavy, so we decide to take Michael Carter Jr. here. I think that with Isaiah McKenzie, if he does miss the beginning portion of the season, it's going to hurt us significantly more here than it would in that league where we would have the fantasy football playoffs. Okay. But the truth coming out, my friend, thank you, says super flex, a 3 wide receiver, 1 flex. We need to start 2 running backs as well. We got Kyler Murray, Saquon Barkley, Leonard Fournette, Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, Brandon Cooks, Dallas Goedert, Christian Kirk, Jalen Hurts. Okay, thank God. I was going to say, this does not seem like that strong of a team, but if we have Kyler and Jalen Hurts on a super flex build, I think that we potentially have 2 top 3 quarterbacks. Hell yes. Okay, this is a much, much better squad. I mean, if we were looking at building some correlation in here, I mean, maybe an easy thing you could do is trade Mike Williams for Hollywood Brown, just get a stack in with Kyler, try to pivot to someone in that same tier. But overall, I like the construction. Yeah, there's not too much for me to say. I'm sorry. There's not too much for me to say. Riga coming out, thank you, says 12-team league, double flex, PPR. Jonathan Taylor fell to me, and I went Big Lenny and Josh Allen, then Hollywood Brown, Darnell Mooney, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Rashad Bateman. Did I fumble the bag? Honestly, no. And this is why we have been talking about in those casual redraft formats, you do need to go ahead and you need to decide to push up those running backs early. in those casual redraft formats where you're going to be able to take advantage of just your friends, take advantage of your league mates that, don't know, you should not let Rashad Bateman fall to the 7th round. I like it, my friend. Like, if we're looking at Underdog as an example, like, you're seeing Rashad Bateman here go pick 58. He has an ADP of like 53. If you're going to be able to get wide receivers in that range rounds behind where they should go, I think it makes a lot of sense. Okay. Derek says 3 more for the Bulldog. Okay, let's see it. Let's see if anybody wants to hop in. I think that it's capped out at 1. Yeah, I think it's going to be a single entry contest, which sucks, but it is what it is. I'm just reading the rules real quick to see how many teams advance to the Fantasy Football Playoff Tournament. General contest information. Okay, yeah, so you're going to have 4 advance, then we're going to be placed in a group of 6, then 2 advance, a group of 6, and then 2 advance. Okay. So shallow field contest, small field contest, I don't necessarily think we just need to go crazy with it. Okay. Lawrence off the board here. I think we have not drafted Lawrence at all. Let me look. How many drafts have I taken Trevor Lawrence in? I feel like this is a player that just never goes in a range where I'd want him. I have Lawrence in literally 3% of leagues. Maybe one of my least drafted quarterbacks at this point. But let's go ahead. We only have 1 tight end here. I think it does make sense for us to just take Hunter Henry. Like, if this was a league where we had that tournament style that tournament at the very end in weeks 15, 16, 17, I'd be a lot more inclined to take a wide receiver that I think has that elite level ceiling for the week 15, 16, 17 stretch and just go ahead and get Christian Watson. But because this is a private draft, I'm not going to feel the need to just go out there and grab that wide receiver like that. And real quick, we are only in round 13 of this draft, and we almost have 400 likes on the live stream. Looks like half of y'all out here have already gone down there and dropped a like in the stream. Thank you so much, everybody. I truly appreciate y'all, and I'm excited to get this next draft in. I'm excited to get this next one. Derek says, Henry, that's terrible. Thanks for the feedback, my friend, but what else are we doing here? What else are we doing? I feel like if we go Hunter Henry, then at that point, we are only having to take 2 tight ends on the build. We're going to be able to save that spot. And am I dying to take Jarvis Landry? Am I dying to take Alec Pierce? Probably not. Okay, so David Njoku off the board here, 156. So let's swing this back around. Christian Watson goes 157. Christian Watson, one of my most drafted players over the past month. This is an option that I think you're just getting at a severe discount if we're looking at the other wide receivers on the board. And he has the elite level ceiling weeks 15, 16, 17, but in this private draft for its cumulative scoring, I'm just not that interested. Okay. Brian Robinson off the board, 159. Let's go ahead. Let's take Robbie Anderson. Obviously, Robbie Anderson falling in a lot of people's eyes, given the fact that you do have the addition of Laviska Shenault in Carolina. I think Laviska there is legitimately just for Terrace Marshall. I think if we look at how bad Terrace Marshall was last year, they got him for free. I wouldn't have been even able to tell you the 4th wide receiver in Carolina before Laviska Shenault went there. I think it was just the bolster wide receiver depth. If we look at the profiles of Robbie Anderson and Laviska Shenault, I don't think they're the same receiver at all. Okay. Now, after we take Robbie Anderson, we got Robert Tonyan and Gerald Everett off the board. So obviously what we are wanting at this point is we are wanting Daniel Jones to make it back to us. If we didn't get Robbie Anderson at pick 160, I probably would have just gone ahead and reached on Daniel Jones. But I felt like the value with Robbie Anderson was good enough to take him at 160 and then not have to go through, and then risk Daniel Jones making it back, which obviously he does not. Dylan, who took Wan'Dale Robinson at 148, decides to go through and get that stack there with Daniel Jones. I can't blame him at all. You do get that correlation with Wan'Dale. And at the same time, I really like Daniel Jones in fantasy football. Like, if we're going to be comparing him to Lawrence, I think it's a significantly better value than Lawrence at ADP, because I think that this is someone that has rushing upside. Daniel Jones can, in my opinion, get to 400 rushing yards on a season, can get to 6 rushing touchdowns. It's going to make him a lot more appealing than other quarterbacks in this range. Okay. Well, we got Jameson Williams and Marvin Jones going off the board directly here at the end of the 14th round. Jameson Williams, also someone that in tournament style contest, I'm trying to get more of. I need to get more of Jameson Williams in tournaments. Here in these private drafts, it's not as important. Ezra coming out says, Flock Country, let's fly. Yes, Flock Country, let's fly. And I am still disappointed in y'all. Still very disappointed in y'all that y'all have failed me. I do not. I check my email every single day. Every single day I'm checking my email and I'm looking to see if y'all decided to send us a Russell Wilson edit, a Russell Wilson meme saying Flock Country, let's fly. And every single day when I check, I see nothing in that inbox and I get just a little more disappointed. But how far is Golladay going to continue to fall? Let me see how far Kenny Galladay's fallen down ADP since this contest opened. I mean, over the past few weeks, I've been taking the dip on Golladay, and clearly that looks idiotic at this point if we were going to go ahead and see Kenny Golladay continuing to fall. Like we were saying, oh, I mean, well, he's probably going to be playing snaps. Look at the contract. He is that deep threat wide receiver. Maybe he has a couple of random spike weeks in best ball. And we have just gotten crushed trying to buy the dip on Golladay over the past few weeks. But if we look at Golladay, he's fallen 40 picks. Oh, my gosh. Jameson Williams has almost fallen 5 rounds since the beginning of May. That is wild. We're going to go ahead. We are going to decide to take a 5th running back here. I think once we miss out on Daniel Jones, especially in a private draft, we are going to go ahead. We're going to take 3 quarterbacks almost regardless. But we got news. We got news. The $500 draft just filled, our last high-stakes draft of the offseason. Got the notification on my computer. Don't know where we're picking at. Give us a top 5. For the love of God, anything but 12, 11, 10, 9. Give us a top 5 pick, I'll be happy. Give us a top 5 pick, I'll be happy. Hell yes. Hell yes. We are drafting here at pick 2. Oh my gosh, it's going to be exciting. We are going to go ahead. We are going to get one of Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey at the 2 spot. Yes. Thank God. Thank God. Paul coming out says, Mason, of maxing out on Best Ball Mania 3, how many teams realistically do you expect to advance to the next round to have a shot to win it all? Okay. So if you look at Best Ball Mania 3, we did max it out with 150 entries. But let me do some depressing math for you real quick. Okay, so we are on the clock. We're going to get Christian McCaffrey at the 2 spot. I don't necessarily think that we can do anything else other than just take CMC here. Let's go CMC 2. But let's see how many entries you have in Best Ball Mania. Okay. So they're going to be 451,000. And we maxed it out. That's percentage of the field as made up my teams. 0.0003%. And then we assume out of those teams, I don't know. If we have one squad making it to the final week of 150, I'll be happy. If we can get one team through to week 17, I'll be very happy. And Rod coming out says, Kittle in the 4th, then Elijah Mitchell in the 5th. Happy PR. What are your thoughts? Probably a little early. I think that you could have got away with deciding to try to get maybe Darren Waller in the 6th, the 7th, and now that we're seeing him just fall across the board. If we're going to take Kittle in the 4th, I probably would have rather just reach on Kyle Pitts in the 3rd. But we have Austin Eckler going pick 5. Dear God. We've said that if you're playing in your casual redraft league, I'm fine if you want to take Eckler over a tier 1 wide receiver, just as we've discussed. I mean, you are going to be able to get crazy value later on at wide receiver. But on Underdog, that wide receiver value is not going to be there. So taking Eckler over a tier 1 wide receiver here, like Jamar Chase, even with the Isaiah Spiller injury, I don't think you can do it. We were taking Stephon Diggs over Eckler earlier this offseason, but over the past few weeks with the Isaiah Spiller injury and the reports that we were getting out of Los Angeles about Isaiah Spiller in general, I have decided to throw in the towel and start drafting Austin Eckler over Stephon Diggs at 6. But to take him over Ja'Marr Chase, I feel like that's very aggressive when you're expecting that serious touchdown regression. He's not going to score 20 touchdowns again. He's not scoring 20 touchdowns again. And Derek says only 2 away as usual. Literally, I don't know. I feel like Underdog has something in the system where maybe Derek hacked Underdog, where he's always 2 picks away from us. He's like, we want to crush Mason in these drafts, but we want to be a little more disguised than just getting to pick right next to him the entire time. We'll do 2 spots away from him. 2 spots away from him. That way it's not too suspicious. Okay. So we have Saquon Barkley off the board here at 13. Come on. What are we rooting for at this point? I guess we're rooting for a wide receiver that we like coming back at 23, but in reality, if you're going to go ahead, you're going to look at the player pool at wide receiver there, it's always the same guys. You're always looking at Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown. What's interesting is, does Derek decide to go Pitts at 21? We saw Derek in another high-stakes draft the other night decide to go Kyle Pitts at 21, which y'all know I've been advocating for Kyle Pitts in the 3rd round all offseason. We are talking about the potential of Kyle Pitts outscoring the round 3 wide receivers, guys like Michael Pittman, someone like Mike Williams, and you were getting him with tight end eligibility. Like I am a big time fan of Kyle Pitts, as we have been for a very long time. And when I say a very long time, I mean this offseason. Last offseason, the value was not there, but this offseason, I've liked him the entire time. If Derek takes him 21, probably a little too rich for me. But we have Tyreek Hill here going before Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones. Have noticed Tyreek Hill sliding up a bit based off the preseason performance with Tua Tagovailoa? Dear God, guys. Based off a preseason performance here. And of course, if you are just now coming to the live stream, thank you for coming out and hanging out with us tonight. Hope you get to watch us. Maybe not below a $500 draft. Hopefully we can find a way to not ruin this. And if you want to get in our next draft, our next one's not going to be a $500 draft. We'll have like a $3 or $5 draft after this. And if you want to get in, go to the link in the live chat. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. And when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. And these are best ball drafts, so there's no time commitment at all. But Derek decides to go A.J. Brown. I guess we go Deebo Samuel. How many teams are going to be able to get the pairing of Christian McCaffrey and Deebo together? I have been very concerned about some overall regression with Deebo Samuel, given the fact that he's not scoring 8 rushing touchdowns again this year. I can guarantee that. And also with Lance, it looks like you don't want the mobile quarterback that's going to be looking downfield for a wide receiver that has the lowest average depth of target in the NFL over the past 3 seasons. But at pick 23 in a league where we have to start 3 wide receivers, I feel like you have to go Deebo Samuel. You don't really have an option to do anything else. Then we have Keenan Allen off the board here, 24. See what Nico decides to do. He has Jonathan Taylor and just took Keenan Allen. Maybe Mike Williams and then tries to get Herbert later on. I mean, it would help us. I don't want Mike Williams. Javonte off the board, so let's go ahead. Let's take Mike Evans. I think in a casual redraft format, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draft Nick Chubb here, but specifically on Underdog where you have to start 3 wide receivers every week, we are instead going to take Evans. And Derek gets his guys. He gets A.J. Brown and Kyle Pitts and does not have to take Kyle Pitts in the 2nd round. Okay. Paul says, didn't he get the 2nd pick of the slow bulldog last time? No, I did not, but thank you for reminding me. Actually, no. So the high stakes leagues we did this offseason, we did 2 of the Bulldog drafts on Underdog, which are $500, and we did 1 of the Great Danes, which was $1,000. And in the Great Dane, in the $1,000 draft, we did get the 102. There we decided, there we ended up. I'm sorry, we're on the clock in the other draft. There in that other draft, we had Jonathan Taylor making it to us at the 102, so we took JT. But in the other $500 draft, the first Bulldog, we had CMC fall to us at 4. And then we had Saquon Barkley fall to us at 21. And we had people making fun of us for starting with Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley through the first 2 rounds. Oh, it was beautiful. I am very excited about that draft. I'm very excited to see where that stands at the end of the season. Now, after we go Mike Evans, not too many surprises outside of T. Higgins making it all the way to pick 32. Very rarely are you getting T. Higgins falling that far. Great value on Higgins. A wide receiver that had a higher target share on a per game basis than Ja'Marr Chase last season. had significantly more air yards per game than Ja'Marr Chase. I do prefer Chase this year, obviously, but still, I think this is definitely a wide receiver 1A, wide receiver 1B type situation. And I think if we expect the pace of play to increase in Cincinnati this upcoming year, you could be looking at this as a 2019 Tampa Bay Buccaneers situation in Cincinnati, where you have T. Higgins being Mike Evans and Ja'Marr Chase being Chris Godwin. Okay. So now we have Courtland Sutton off the board here, 36. Hey, and Gabe Davis goes 38. So that team there at Big 12 looks like they're going after the Kansas City Chiefs, Denver Broncos Week 17 game. I think Week 17 correlation is way overblown. That's not necessarily something I'm chasing, especially in a small field contest like this. Maybe they're not doing it. Maybe they're just taking Sutton, Judy there with the hope that they get Russell Wilson later on. They're not even considering that they have Kelsey at Big 12, which I will say the very few drafts where we've drafted Courtland Sutton there at like Big 36, we have decided to get Jerry Jeudy right there on the way back around and hope that you get Russell Wilson falling to you. Okay. So now Jalen Waddle off the board, 39. Now, I had a question in the comment section earlier today saying, Mason, what do you think about the phantom injury with Jalen Waddle, this mysterious injury nobody knows? I will be honest with you. I have probably just been an idiot. I've probably been extremely biased, and that I've drafted a lot of fourth round Jalen Waddle. So I really hope that it's nothing. I hope that it's nothing. I can't say for sure that it isn't, but I haven't moved him down in my rankings. It's probably just because I've drafted him a lot and I don't want to throw in the towel and I'm being stubborn. But real quick, we just passed 500 likes in the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping a like. Let's see if we can break our record on this live stream, where I think 2 nights ago we had like 1,600 likes. Something ridiculous. Please, guys, go down there, drop that like. We're going to be live streaming every single night for like the next 200 days. And if we hit 90,000 subs on the channel, y'all know we are doing that 24-hour live stream, which I thought there was no way that was going to happen. I thought there was no way that was happening. Okay, but after we go Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, I think we have the flexibility where we can go in a bunch of different directions with this turn. Y'all know what I usually like doing here at the 4-5 turn? Let's see what Derek wants. Derek goes Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm not a massive Juju guy. I wasn't necessarily going to be taking him here. Lamar Jackson goes, so we're going to go ahead. We are going to just take Patrick Mahomes. I think getting Patrick Mahomes gives us the elite level QB. We only have to draft 2 of these quarterbacks total. Patrick Mahomes is one of my most drafted quarterbacks in fantasy. We used to be able to get him in the middle of the 5th round, and whenever Patrick Mahomes was falling to the middle of the 5th, trust me, he was someone we were taking nonstop for like 2-3 weeks. But I'm still fine taking him here at the 4 or 5 turn. As I've discussed, I think that the Kansas City Chiefs offense may actually be better this upcoming year. Deontay Johnson goes 48. Deontay Johnson is someone that we've drafted a considerable amount of, but it is what it is if we don't get him. We are not looking at, I don't want to say too much, but I think if you watch the live stream enough, you know what we want here. Godwin off the board. Yeah, we weren't looking receiver. I'll throw this to y'all. Do you want Breece Hall or George Kittle? We have Deebo Samuel on this team. The odds that we end up getting Trey Lance on the way back around at the end of the 6th round, probably pretty slim. Well, let me know. Let me know. Okay, so we have, looks like most people saying Kittle. I don't know. It was like split 50-50. We'll go ahead. We'll take George Kittle. I think this pick will be a very strong selection if Trey Lance makes it back to us at 71. It was like split 50-50. I think if Trey Lance makes it back to us at 71, no-brainer selection. Best pick ever. I couldn't be happier with it. But we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, Kittle, in my opinion, has the talent profile where you can make the argument that he is the most talented. I know that. I know this is going to be very hot takey. I know that nobody's going to like this at all. But when he is healthy and when he is on the field, I think you can make the argument that Kittle is the best offensive player not at the quarterback position in football. Literally, over the past 3 years, over 3 yards per route run. And I'm no grind the tape run blocking expert, but based off of what I've heard with people who are smart in that area, sounds like Kittle's an elite run blocker. I love me some George Kittle. of course, the thing is, can he stay on the field and can there be enough passing volume in San Francisco? Probably not. But Joey says, what about Tyrion Davis-Price? Is he worth keeping in the 16th round of a redraft league? I'd say he's worth drafting in the 16th round of a redraft format. I was more excited about Tyrion Davis-Price about a month ago, but based off the reports that we're getting out of San Francisco training camp, it looks like Tyrion Davis-Price isn't just guaranteed to be the running back 2 that we thought he once was. But Tim coming out says, new to the flock. Thank you. Happy to have you out here, my man. Says, love your stuff. Should I trade CMC in my dynasty league or ride him out? My team is running back heavy, and past owner gave away all my 2023 picks. If you have no 2023 picks in particular, I think we go all in to win this year. I think we just load up on those win now assets, go for one last push, look to reset once the season's over. Because if we start trading away these win now assets, we don't get the added bonus that our pick's going to be higher next year. Just whoever has that pick's going to get that added bonus. So yeah, I probably would go ahead. I probably would look to hold on to Christian McCaffrey if you do not have your own 2023 first. Unless you can get some crazy value. Unless you can move off like of CMC and get Breece Hall plus a future pick. But yeah, Breece Hall falling all the way to pick 57 here. I love that Breece Hall value. I really like the Cam Akers value. I'm fine. I'm not as excited to draft Dobbins here as we were before the Kenyon Drake reports, but at this point, we just need to hope that if Brandon Cooks falls a crap ton. Brandon Cooks down here at 60. I believe Brandon Cooks has the ADP of 51. Okay. At this point, we really need to hope we get Lance. But no, Lance goes 62. That sucks. I'm not going to sit here and cry about someone taking Lance, sniping us, because to be honest, I mean, Lance, I think, is a quarterback that you can take, and you don't necessarily have to have the stack with him, given the fact that you are primarily betting on the rushing upside. But you know what this team's betting on here? When we have Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and no Trey Lance, we're betting that Jimmy Garoppolo contract was a little bit more than a backup contract. Of course, no. I'm not. With how many dynasty leagues I have Trey Lance in, with how we built our reputation over Trey Lance, specifically last offseason in Dynasty, that'd be very bad for us. Joey coming out says, love the flock. Thanks. No, thank you, Joey, for being a long-time member of the flock. I appreciate you, my man. Okay. Now, Elijah Moore off the board here, 65. Let's swing this back around. Darnell Mooney falling a little bit here. I think we have a couple interesting plays that we could go with. Brian says, Jimmy G, round 18. Maybe if this was Best Ball Mania, it was just like a crazy large field, then sure. But no, this is a very small field for the Bulldog draft. I don't think we have to try to get super unique there. Okay, let's see what M North Shore decides to do. They have Justin Herbert. They go Dameon Pierce, pick 67. So I did move up Dameon Pierce in our rankings today. That video should come out on Friday. But I didn't move him up this high. I'll tell you that. We did not move up Dameon Pierce this high. I was not going to consider Pierce at 71. And we just passed 600 likes on the live stream. It looks like half of y'all have gone down there and dropped that like. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Y'all are literally the best. I have no idea why y'all like hanging out with me every single night here, watching me lose some money, but I have a ton of fun doing this with y'all. Okay. Derek decides to take Darnell Mooney. Pepper Prince on the clock. I want a player that I know nobody else does. I know David Montgomery does go. The issue is if we take Elijah Mitchell, having Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel, and Kittle all in the same roster. Dear God. Dear God. I guess I don't know what to do. I guess we go Elijah Mitchell. David Montgomery, Darnell Mooney would have been way better values. I would have been way more excited about that. And I do not know what to think now that we're looking at Elijah Mitchell 71. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Drake London here. I never find myself drafting Allen Lazard. Like, I understand Allen Lazard could not be in a better situation. He's in Green Bay with the most efficient quarterback in the entire NFL with no target competition at all. With very little target competition. Whereas on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Drake London going up against, in my opinion, an elite level player in Kyle Pitts. On top of that, not only going up against Kyle Pitts, but at the same time, you have Drake London in a very, very bad offense with Marcus Mariota. And I know maybe I'm an idiot for saying this. Maybe I'm an idiot for just making it this quote unquote simple. But at the end of the day, I think we sometimes have to go through and bet on the best player. Allen Lazard is an undrafted free agent that bounced team to team early on in his NFL career. We've never seen the ability to command a high target share, even in games where Davante Adams has missed. I think while Allen Lazard is the wide receiver one on paper, it is just the projection. I'm not going to be too surprised if you have Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs coming out here and out targeting Allen Lazard this upcoming season. I don't think it's anything special. So let's go ahead. Let's take Drake London here. And let's move this down. Devonta Smith goes off the board here, pick 77. Let's see how far Allen Lazard does slide, because Allen Lazard was the best player available according to ADP when we were on the clock at pick 74. So Edmonds off. Let me know what y'all think of this team. I feel like it's just very tough. Maybe in a smaller field, it's okay. In a smaller field, maybe it's all right. But to go ahead and have those 3 San Francisco 49ers players with no Trey Lance here, because if these 3 guys hit and exceed expectations based on where we took them, with Trey Lance, with his overall rushing upside, Trey Lance is a league-winning quarterback. Trey Lance is a top 3 QB in fantasy. So I feel like it's very difficult for this team to get there in particular when we don't have Lance. But I don't know. We'll see. Allen Lazard finally off the board there, pick 83. Finally off the board. Okay. So let's slide this down. We got Russell Wilson going 81. So ruining the party that you had for the team at 12, who had the combo of Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy at the 3-4 turn. They decided to go Tom Brady instead. I don't think they have any Buccaneers. So it looks like across the board right now, you have every team in here going after quarterbacks that aren't stacked up. I mean, you have the Russell Wilson squad, no stack. The Kyler Murray squad, no stack. The Lance, no stack. Allen's with Diggs. Dak's with Lamb. Herbert's with nobody. I mean, Justin Herbert doesn't go to the team that took Austin Eckler. Doesn't go to the team that took Mike Williams. Doesn't go to the team that took Keenan Allen. And I guess Derek does have Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown together. The Lamar team has the double stack. We have Patrick Mahomes, and we are hoping that we get MVS, Sky Moore on the way back around. But Marquez Valdes-Scantling goes off the board here like 10 picks before ADP at pick 86. Goes before Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper last till 88. Great value there. Tim coming out says, thanks for the answer and being my favorite channel. No, thank you, Tim, for coming out and just hanging out with us tonight. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. And dear God, we're about to pass 650 likes in the live stream. How many subscribers are we away from doing that 24-hour stream? Like, it's exciting, but it's like, it sucks at the same time. Guys, 24-hour live stream is going to be the worst thing in the world. For y'all, maybe it's entertaining seeing me just lose my mind. But it looks like we are only 3,700 subscribers away from 90. Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. That is going to be brutal. That is going to be brutal. Okay. Shady says, check your email. You'll be happy. Okay. Oh, let me check this. Okay. I think I know what this is. Thank you, my friend. Let me make my picks here. I think Shady just sent us all a gift. I'm going to be happy to check this out. Let's make our picks here. Pick 95 and pick 98. Hunter Renfrow off the board. Derek on the clock. Let's see what Derek decides to do. He has 1 running back in Tony Pollard, 4 receivers with, he goes Gibson here. Okay, so I am not a massive Ramondre Stevenson guy. But I feel like if Stevenson falls 10 picks past his ADP, sure. This team on the clock already has 3 RBs with Nick Chubb, David Montgomery, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The team between us already has Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, and Josh Jacobs. Lockett's off. So the clear value is Ramondre Stevenson. I think we take Ramondre Stevenson. We have access to a unique build. But at the same time, we go TJ Hawkinson. I think there's a chance we get Ramondre Stevenson on the way back around when that team at the 8-9 turn already has Jonathan Taylor, Javonte, and Josh Jacobs. So let's go Hawkinson. We're going to pair him up with George Kittle and rolling it out to draft 2 tight ends total here. And we're going to see if we get Ramondre Stevenson making it back to us in 98. I'm not a big Stevenson guy. I'm not a big Ramondre Stevenson guy. But I think this team here on the turn is going to have a hard time going with more running backs. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh my God, Shady, that is so good. Yeah, Shady just sent us something real good. Hopefully we can show you on the live stream. And Treylon Burks off the board here, 96. Matthew Stafford goes 97. This is exactly what we were thinking. Go Hawkinson, possibly get Ramondre falling back. I have not drafted Ramondre Stevenson in like a month since his ADP has been steamed up so much, but now if we're getting him pick 98, I think we go through and we take the pick. Let's go ahead. Let's draft Ramondre Stevenson here, pick 98. 13 picks past ADP. Let me show you all this build so far. So right now, obviously we are missing out on what we were hoping for with Sky Moore and Marquez Valdes-Scantling with the Patrick Mahomes build. But still, I think we're in a fine spot where at running back, we have Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, and Ramondre Stevenson. At wide receiver, we have Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, and Drake London. At tight end, we have George Kittle, Hawkinson. We don't do this in a regular shallow redraft format. In a regular shallow redraft format, you take Kittle. You don't look for another tight end. But here in best ball, it does make sense. We have the elite level quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, thinking that we were potentially going to get one of MVS or Sky Moore on the way back round at the 8-9 turn. Obviously, that doesn't happen. But at the end of the day, doesn't really matter. Okay. But Jim Malai coming out says, in a half PPR league, would you flex Brandon Ayuk or Darnell Mooney? Thank you so much for coming out. I think we probably have to go ahead and go Darnell Mooney until we at least see what this San Francisco 49ers offense looks like with Lance and maybe have a better idea of how these wide receivers are going to be deployed, and maybe this team decides to try to run the ball more than they throw it. So let's go Darnell Mooney week 1 over Brandon Ayuk. Okay. So we have Kareem Hunt going pick 103 here. Jenna coming out. Long time no see. Jenna says, should I give up Najee Harris for Deebo Samuel and Ezekiel Elliott in half PPR format? I think in the majority of leagues, yes, you go ahead and do this. If it's an extremely shallow roster, then maybe it's a little bit tougher. This is something that I've had to adjust because my background where I've obviously played in almost every fantasy football league imaginable, but the majority of leagues that I have played in since 2014 have been like very deep dynasty leagues where usually you want the side of the trade where you're getting 2 startable players that you can go through and jam someone into your flex spot every single week when you're going to have like 7 flexes. But here in these shallow redraft leagues, 9 times out of 10, the better side of the deal is just go get that stud. So I'd say if this is like a 12-team league where you can start up to 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and then 2 flexes, we probably take the package. If it's like a 10-team league where we only start 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex, 9 times out of 10, you just want to go through and you want to just take the best player in the deal. April coming out, thank you, says 14-team non-PPR format. Okay, so this is a little bit of a deeper league. What are your suggestions? We got Russell Wilson, Justin Jefferson, Mike Williams, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy. So we're stacked up, Wilson and Jeudy. We have Swift, ETN, 2 running backs that I really love in PPR. Non-PPR, I think we have to lower our expectations slightly. We have Elijah Moore, Kenneth Walker, Naheem Hines, Chris Olave, and Isaiah Pacheco. I really like the team. I mean, if we were to go through and try to change anything up here, maybe we try to move off of Mike Williams for Cortland Sutton and just get the double stack in there with Russell Wilson. But I think for a 14-team league in particular, very strong roster. If this was like a 10-team league, I'd be like, oh, whatever. I feel like we maybe could have squeezed a little bit more value into non-PPR format. 14-team league, I really like it. Okay. Let's scroll this down. Now, Jahan Dotson, 113. Okay, someone asking us how much we profited off fantasy football. Derek says we made about $3 million last year. Derek, come on, man. Come on. Last year we entered in about, I want to say 400 fantasy football leagues, and I think net profit was 480 million. Could be a little wrong there. I'll have to talk to the accountant. But last time they crunched the numbers, last time they got back to me, I think it was sitting around 480, maybe it was like 475 million. Could be wrong, could be wrong. Okay. Now we have Derek Carr off the board, 114. Joshua Palmer off, 115. A couple different ways we can go about this pick at the very end of the 10th rounds. Rodgers goes. So quarterback's not going to be in play for us here. I'm never considering Cousins. I mean, especially if we don't have Jefferson. Yeah, Derek went Jefferson. Wonder if he wants Kirk Cousins here. But no, instead he decides to go ahead and take Devin Singletary. Pepper Prince on the clock. One quarterback, one tight end. Both elite level guys. Would be very surprised if he went that direction here. So let's go ahead. Let's get a rookie wide receiver that's in a very bad situation, but I love the talent profile of. Let's go ahead and let's grab Garrett Wilson. We're trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17 in this league where you are looking at that fantasy football playoff tournament on Underdog Fantasy. And if we are looking at this league in particular, 4 teams out of 12 advance. So even if Garrett Wilson starts slow alongside Drake London, I think we want to take these rookie wide receivers that could have that breakout in the second half of the year. And then Michael Gallup goes 120. Gallup probably would have been our pick at 122. Y'all know we've been taking a crap ton of Gallup in this range. And then Pat Frymuth off the board as well. So let's go ahead. Let's get Kenneth Walker here. What was the report on Walker? 30 minutes ago, this came out. Pete Carroll said Tuesday that Walker's status for week 1 game against Broncos is still in question due to the ongoing recovery from a hernia procedure. Okay, if this is just week 1 status, obviously this is not exciting. At the same time, Walker's not in a good situation. He is in possibly the worst offense in the NFL. He's not a great pass-catching running back, playing possibly behind the worst offense. And he is the backup running back to start the season. So obviously, it's not too exciting to go ahead and take Kenneth Walker 122. But I think we're not necessarily passing up on wide receivers with elite level ceilings now that we have like a Michael Gallup off the board. It's a half PPR league in particular. And as we were discussing previously, I think we want to be trying to have that production primarily coming in weeks 15, 16, and 17 for this build. So let's go Kenneth Walker 122. Feel free to roast me with this pick. I mean, do your worst. Do your worst, YouTube chat. And let's move this down. And Luke coming out says, Mason, should I start Miles Sanders or Kenneth Walker at running back 2? Looks like you're not going to be able to start Kenneth Walker to start the year. He may not even be ready for week 1. If he is ready, you should assume that Rashad Penny's the starting running back to start the season off. I think as we go through the year, you should expect that you get more and more involvement for Kenneth Walker, given the team investment that he has. And at the same time, I think 9 times out of 10, injury analysis in fantasy football is just lazy, given the fact that fantasy football is primarily a small sample random game where I think injuries are primarily random. But with the outlier type examples, I think it's at least fair to mention the injury history that Rashad Penny has and how that may open something up for Kenneth Walker. Okay. But we have some more running backs going off the board here at the end of the 11th round. Good for us. Good for us. And then Romeo Doubs goes 131, a player that has been falling. And we have that team at the very end looking like they're going with that hero running back build where they took Alvin Kamara at 14. And outside of that Alvin Kamara pick at 14, they have not touched another running back. So far at receiver, they have Devontae Adams, Mike Williams, Gabriel Davis, Alan Lazard, MVS, Romeo Doubs. They have the 2 elite level quarterbacks with Kyler Murray, Trey Lance. They have the 2 tight ends with Zach Ertz, Dawson Knox. To be honest, I don't like this team. I understand wanting to get cute with it, with a 0 running back build, but what is Dawson Knox providing this team that is that much more valuable than James Cook? How are you not just taking James Cook there? And dear God, we just passed 700 likes in the stream. It looks like, 700 likes in the first hour. It looks like this stream has the chance to go out there and break our all-time like record on a live stream. If you have not done so already, please go down there, drop that like. I think we are going to pass this. Thank you. Of course, I appreciate all of y'all. But we got Jalen Tolbert going 136, Mecole Hardman going 135. Would have loved to have Mecole Hardman on the way back around. Would have genuinely loved to have Mecole Hardman on the way back around. Maybe you could make the argument that we should have taken Mecole Hardman over Kenneth Walker. I think that's a very fair argument just to get that extra wide receiver in the Kansas City Chiefs offense that would correlate with Patrick Mahomes and that could have an elite level spike weeks 15, 16, 17. Okay. Ryan says, I was 8 in the first draft. Feel free to roast. Okay, Ryan, let me pull that up in a little bit. And also we had that email coming out with the Russell Wilson Flock Let's Ride. I will admit to you, I do not have the stream set up where I can show you desktop audio, but we are going to premiere that Russell Wilson Let's Ride tomorrow's live stream. Tomorrow's live stream, I will figure out how to get y'all my computer audio, and it'll be nice. It'll be nice. Isaiah Pacheco, in my opinion, has to be a player falling now that you have Rojo officially back in Kansas City, not getting cut. We have Justin Fields off the board at 141. I think with Fields, he has the rushing upside, and I think at the same time. Okay, wait 1 second. Do we just take Chark? Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's take DJ Chark. I don't love DJ Chark in these style contests because I think with Chark, you should expect that Jameson Williams has the role through the final 3 weeks, which is what we're trying to optimize for. But you can make the argument, well, we have Drake London, we have Garrett Wilson, we have Kenneth Walker. We have a lot of these rookies on this team that are going to start slow. So maybe we take DJ Chark, we get a spike week through the first few weeks of this year that maybe helps us overcome the lack of production we should have until we get a Drake London or Garrett Wilson breakout. Winston off the board here, 144. Winston's not someone we're looking at. Jarvis goes as well. So let's go ahead. Let's take KJ Hamler here. One of my other favorite wide receivers that we're going to be looking at. We say this every time we take him, but KJ Hamler is the only wide receiver right now where he has his jersey hanging up in this office. We got an Odell Giants jersey in the closet. We got a Sammy Watkins Bills jersey in the closet. We got the Amari Cooper Raiders jersey in the closet. But the only one that's currently hanging up right now is KJ Hamler. Big KJ Hamler fanboy. Obviously, we were very excited whenever we got the breakout during the preseason last year. Short-lived with the torn ACL, but this is the year. This is the year for KJ Hamler. And we have Elite Sloth coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says Pickens or Sky Moore as a stash in a PPR format. I'm going to go Sky Moore. I think that you can make the argument that with George Pickens, he's a much better talent. But at the end of the day, you have Sky Moore playing alongside Patrick Mahomes. So I think you have to take him. And then we have Albert O off the board here as well. And of course, we are going to get another draft going after this one. Thank you, everybody, for the support. And if you want to get in our next draft, go sign up for Underdog. Find the link in the live chat. These are best ball drafts, so you don't submit your starting lineup every single week. That's automatically done for you at the end of the week. You don't have waivers because you draft 18 rounds. So this is why I'm able to get 700 of these teams in this offseason, because there's no time commitment at all during the year. And you can go sign up for Underdog Fantasy to get in some extra fantasy football drafts right now and still have that time during the season to focus in on those main teams you care about. And when you use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. You're going to get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You're going to get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide. It's like 300 pages of information. It's going to help you out regardless. And we do the streams every single night, so you're going to be able to get in a ton of drafts with us, especially when we do that 24-hour live stream. We're just going to be drafting these teams for 24 hours straight. Okay. But after we take Hamler, I mean, not much has changed. We're rooting that tight ends go off the board when we have the combo of George Kittle and TJ Hawkinson here. I guess maybe the Chark pick's a little bit better if we want to potentially set ourselves up with the double stack of Jared Goff later on with TJ Hawkinson and DJ Chark. Hunter Henry goes 156. What did Derek do? Derek decided to go Khalil Herbert, I guess. Maybe build in that correlation that with the Chicago Bears offense and make that one bet that maybe Chicago's not as bad as the market indicates. Okay. So let's scroll this over. We have Jamal Williams going off the board at 158 here. So what we're really hoping for is we're hoping that these tight ends go. That team that just drafted Van Jefferson had 6 running backs. Najee, Etienne, Akers, Henderson, James Robinson, and Zamir White. Very interesting there. Very interesting. What was the report on Isaiah Spiller today? Isaiah Spiller's at practice. Isaiah Spiller returned to practice on Tuesday for the first time since suffering an ankle injury. The rookie running back appears to have fallen behind Joshua Kelly for the running back 2 role behind Austin Eckler. Though both players could secure a role in the Chargers backfield, it seems like a fluid situation. Okay. Definitely worth taking note of. I don't necessarily know if we take Isaiah Spiller if he makes it to us at 167, but I think he is more interesting now. More interesting given the fact that Eckler's not going to be that running back seeing a 75% workload in that backfield. It should be much closer to a 50-50 split compared to what if we look at what we've historically seen through his NFL career. Okay. But if we're looking at quarterbacks we can target later on, Not that excited to grab Matt Ryan here. Like, I don't even know if we probably wouldn't draft Ryan. Maybe you could make the argument we go Matt Ryan and then Alec Pierce on the way back around. In reality, no, thank you. Let's see what this team decides to do. This team has no tight ends. We need to see tight ends off. Like, get Gerald Everett, get Mike Gesicki off this board. And this team has Justin Herbert, no tight ends, so I'd imagine they probably go Gerald Everett here. Did they take Joshua Palmer earlier? Yeah, they did take Joshua Palmer 5 picks before ADP. So they go Higbee. Oh, that's very much a surprise. I figured they were going to go Gerald Everett there, considering the fact they had Herbert. Okay. Matt says Jimmy G stack. No. Like I said, if this was a massive field like Best Ball Mania, sure, we would go through. We would try to get that unique build, but not here. Derek decides to go Alec Pierce. Oh. If Derek's taking Alec Pierce over Christian Watson when we have drafted this much Christian Watson this season, I'm scared. I am scared to say the least. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Christian Watson. I understand the concerns 100%. But at the same time, when we're trying to optimize in a best ball format, weeks 15, 16, 17, I think this is a wide receiver that should have an elite level ceiling during that stretch. Stirred off the board. Jameson Williams gone as well. Spam the chat. What do you want? Spam the chat right now. What do you want? We can't take a tight end. Even if you think the tight end value is the best, we cannot go in that direction. Right now, running back, we have CMC, Elijah Mitchell, Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Walker. Receiver, we have Debo, Mike Evans, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Chark, and Hamler. And Christian Watson. Okay. Let's go ahead. Looks like most people are saying J.D. McKissic. I think if we were playing in a league where you submitted your starting lineup on a week-to-week basis, we would go ahead. We would take Brian Robinson over J.D. McKissic, given the fact that Brian Robinson could eventually work himself into a role where you can easily project him to go into your starting lineup and know when to start him going into the week. Whereas with J.D. McKissic, he's always just going to be the passing down running back that randomly spikes into your starting lineup if he has that 1 week with 5 receptions, 40 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown. So in best ball in particular, maybe we go McKissic. I think it's a tough spot. I think the Christian Watson pick's easy. McKissic's our 5th running back here. We're probably done at running back. I honestly think we want to take 3 quarterbacks. I know most people disagree with it, but I think in a smaller field, we can go 3 QBs. Okay. Now we have the tight ends finally going off the board. I mean, dear God, if we knew that there was going to be tight end value here, like let's go through and let's see how bad we messed up that TJ Hawkinson pick. So let me know, what would you prefer? Would you prefer the combination of TJ Hawkinson and JD McKissic? Or would you have preferred us to go, say, Miles Sanders there at pick 95 and then get a tight end in this range? Would you rather have Miles Sanders and Gerald Everett or TJ Hawkinson and JD McKissic? How bad did we mess up that Hawkinson pick? So let's move this down. And also, we just passed 800 likes in the live stream. Guys, I'm feeling it. We're not even 2 drafts in at this point, and we are about to pass 1,000 likes. I think that this live stream is going to break records. All I got to say is thank you. Y'all are ridiculous. Y'all are ridiculous. And then we have most people saying Hawkinson and McKissic. We have 1 vote that I see for Miles Sanders, but most people saying Hawkinson and McKissic. So maybe we didn't mess that up that bad. Okay, Tyrion Davis Price off the board, 176. And Goff going does kind of suck, as we discussed. We could have potentially had the double stack with Jared Goff, TJ Hawkinson, and DJ Chark. I think this team's going to come down to, can we get 2 of these rookie wide receivers breaking out? Obviously, we don't need all 3. We're fine with one of these rookie wide receivers fizzling out, never giving us anything. But can we get 1 breakout from... preferably 2 breakouts from Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson. The receivers we have at the very top, Debo Samuel, Mike Evans. I am comfortable with those guys as our wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. But for this team to have a realistic ceiling, what I think we need to see is a breakout from 2 of the rookies here between Drake London, Garrett Wilson, and Christian Watson. Don't know who it's coming from. Probably you take the money on the under of 2 of those guys breaking out, but still. Let's scroll this around. We have Mike Gesicki finally off the board, 183. Mike Gesicki has been a player I've been buying the dip on over the past month, and you just been buying the dip, dips a little bit more. Buying the dip, dips a little bit more. Buying the dip, dips a little bit more, and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing? What have I been doing? I think Mike Gesicki at this point, over the past month, he has become my, I don't want to say most drafted tight end. Let me look this up. For the love of God, please, please tell me he's not my most drafted tight end. Okay. Let's look at this. Who's our most, maybe it's Kittle. Our most drafted tight end is Andrews. After that, it's Kittle. Then it's Gesicki. Then it's Kelsey. Then it's Darren Waller. You can tell that I like grabbing the elite level tight end early, but Gesicki sneaks his way in there. Now, Brian Robinson's still falling, guys. Did we take any Cleveland players? No. Noah Fant off the board. I think I know what we want to do. Brian Robinson goes, no, Derek, why do you have to do that to us? Derek snipes us on Watson here. If we take Mac Jones, can we... Probably don't even have access to a New England pass catcher that we'd like later on. Why do you have to do us like that, Derek? Why? David Bell off. So I was hoping we were going to get the Watson David Bell stack here at the 16-17 turn. Sit here and think. You know what? I think this build in particular, maybe it does make sense to go ahead, grab AJ Green when we have Drake London, when we have Garrett Wilson, when we have Christian Watson, and we're going to be waiting for one of these guys to hopefully break out later on in the season for us. So let's go ahead. Let's take AJ Green as our 8th wide receiver. And then we're probably just going to be getting quarterback after this. Derek says, bro, you know I was going for that. Look at my quarterbacks. I need the upside. Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields. Are you trolling me? You troll me telling me you need the upside when you already have 2 guys that can go out there and run the ball. Are you? Oh, my gosh. Taking our guy from us. We're going to go Mac Jones. Maybe we can sit here and go, okay, how many teams are going to have Mac Jones and Ramondre Stevenson stacked up? In reality, I don't think the correlation matters that much. Honestly, probably look to grab a 3rd quarterback in a small field contest like this in the 18th round. Oh, my gosh. I think this team's okay. I think we messed up the Mahomes pick. We should have known that in this draft room in particular, we weren't going to get Marquez Valdes-Scantling. We weren't going to get Sky Moore making it to us to the 8-9 turn. And when we have no shot to get those guys on the way back around, we should instead just go ahead and take Deontay Johnson over Patrick Mahomes, because now we have Patrick Mahomes not stacked up. We have Mac Jones with the only somewhat correlating piece to this being Ramondre Stevenson. We didn't know how we were going to win the $500 draft, but at least we've learned now. We're going to go with a 3rd quarterback after this, most likely, unless we get a player that we really like falling. Let me go ahead. Let me grab a link for a private draft here in case you're wanting to join a private draft with us. Now, no, this is not going to be a $500 draft. It's just going to be a $3 practice draft on Underdog. So let me grab this link, and I'm going to send this out in the live chat. Okay. Just sent that out for anybody wanting to join. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft on Underdog, you're probably too late to join this one. But if you have not set up your Underdog account, what have you been doing? What have you been doing over the past 9 months? I mean, Underdog's, I guess, past 36 months at this point. I feel like Underdog's been taking over for 3 years now. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. You'll get our draft guide. You'll get to draft with us every single night on the live stream and in that 24-hour stream as well. And when you sign up for Underdog, just know it is best ball. You don't submit your starting lineup. at all. That's automatically done for you at the end of every single week. There's no waiver wire as well. So what this means is it means that you're able to get in as many of these drafts as possible with no time commitment during the season. And also, if you already are in a fantasy football draft that you really care about, that you want to focus in on the waiver wire for that draft, you also want to be able to go and take as much time as you can submitting that starting lineup. Underdog's going to be the perfect spot to just get in some extra leagues. Just go deposit $10 on Underdog with promo code FLOCK. You'll have $20 in your account because they match that. And you'll be able to get into 6 drafts with us here on the live stream. Okay. So now we are picking at 12. We got Jay in out in this draft. We have Sammy Bullock out here as well in a ton of these drafts with us. We got Monkey Mind out here. Nobody has ever spoken to me as Monkey Mind has. Like, that should be my Underdog name. If it would not be, I will let y'all know. We had the one time I've ever played online poker, I went through like a little online poker phase during COVID where I maybe played for like a week. And my name online was, I think it was like the Donkey or something. I like the Monkey Mind name. But we have JN Jelly Pumps out here in a lot of drafts with us as well. Let me know in the live chat right now if you are in this draft with us. Okay. Steven says Underdog is the Amazon of fantasy football. Honestly, it is becoming the Amazon of fantasy football. Like, I can't even turn on the TV now without seeing an Underdog commercial. Now, Eckler goes at pick 7. You have Stephon Diggs sliding before Ja'Marr Chase here. Back-to-back drafts where you've had Ja'Marr Chase going outside the first 5 picks. Which, as I've discussed, in your shallow casual redraft format, yeah, sure, go ahead, take Ja'Marr Chase there, but no, not on Underdog. Not on Underdog where you have to start 3 of these wide receivers. Okay, can I... Derrick Henry off at 10, so let's see what we're going to be looking at. Joe Mixon goes, let's go ahead. Let's take Najee Harris and CeeDee Lamb. Just because this is Underdog, just because we know that we're going to get running back values that we like later on. Let's go ahead. Let's make these picks. And real quick, I need to make sure we don't auto draft in that $500 draft for our last pick. I'm going to make sure that we're at least checking in here. Okay, so after we decide to go CeeDee Lamb, you have Travis Kelce, Saquon Barkley off the board. I mean, that's expectation for these guys. As I said, if you're playing in that shallow redraft format, I think instead you go ahead, you take Kelce or Saquon Barkley there at pick 13. This is just us adjusting to the league. And then we have Alvin Kamara, pick 17. I have not drafted much second round Alvin Kamara, and I think it's my brain is broken where we were getting Alvin Kamara at the 3-4 turn consistently for like that 2-week stretch, where now it's just hard for me to draft Kamara here, even though it shouldn't be. Even though obviously things have changed, it looks like he is significantly less likely to serve a suspension this upcoming season. But it's hard for me to do that. And looking at that last draft we did, I think it's okay. It would have been much better if we could get Mahomes stacked up. Much, much better. We just need 2 of those rookies to break out. Okay. But Tolly coming out, thank you, my friend, says 12-team PPR. Quarterback, we got Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, J.K. Dobbins, Chase Edmonds, James Cook, Darrell Henderson, and Mike Davis at running back. At wide receiver, we got Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Michael Thomas, Rashad Bateman, Sky Moore, Romeo Doubs. At tight end, we have Pat Frymuth, and we have the Denver Broncos defense. Okay, so looking at this team, obviously I love having the elite level quarterback. I think tight end Pat Frymuth is probably a better low-end tight end 1 option than most guys. What I specifically like about this team is down there on the bench, instead of looking at high floor players, like instead of looking at, like, let's just throw some wide receivers in here as an example. Instead of looking at guys like maybe DJ Chark, Nico Collins, Jacoby Myers, KJ Osborne. These guys that are giving you a high floor this upcoming season, you're chasing the ceiling down there on your bench with instead Sky Moore, Romeo Doubs, Daryl Henderson. I really like the team. If we were to look to make any moves, I mean, it's a very boring call, but maybe we could make a small play of trading Pat Frymuth in a small piece like Daryl Henderson, get to Dallas Goedert, get some correlation in there with Jalen Hurts as well as bolstering the tight end position. But Alex coming out, happy to see you here, my man. Says a 16-team, full PPR, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, double flex, 1 tight end. In this format in particular, before we look at the roster, I am more willing to punt tight end because in that shallow league where it's a 10-team league, 12-team league, where you don't have a ton of flex spots, you're easily going to be able to find running back. You're easily going to be able to find wide receiver. Everybody in the league can. So really the only way you can get that elite level advantage is by going through and hitting the tight end position. But here in particular, I think that it's going to be much harder to come by these receivers. So we have Kyler at quarterback as well as Jameis Winston. Yeah, you have to roster a backup quarterback here. Running back, it's tough. We got Miles Sanders, James Cook, Brian Robinson, Rachaad White. Wide receiver, we have Kupp, Higgins, Waddle, DeAndre Hopkins, Sky Moore, Sammy Watkins. We have Andrews and Gerald Everett at tight end. I like the team. What I would personally look to do is I would personally look to go through and see if we could move off of Mark Andrews, given the fact that this is that 16-team league where you have double flex spots as well. And if we can get back a running back that we're really excited about, if you can get an Aaron Jones, an Alvin Kamara, a DeAndre Swift, a Saquon Barkley, in this format, as we were discussing, I think this is where you can punt. This is where you can punt tight end. Okay. Now, we go Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy. I think that it would be interesting to go Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton if we thought that we were going to get Russell Wilson on the way back around at pick 84. But I feel like at this point, it's pretty unlikely that that ends up happening. And Travis Etienne makes it all the way to 43 here. With Travis Etienne, I was much more excited before James Robinson looked healthy. But real quick, we passed 900 likes in the stream, and we are only an hour and a half in. Okay, so at this pace, if we stream for 3 hours, we have another 900 likes in the stream over the next 3 hours. I think we break our all-time like record. Thank you so much for everybody that's gone down there and dropped a like in the live stream. I'd imagine that it's like 90% of y'all at this point. That's absolutely wild. Thank you. I appreciate you, and I'm going to be excited to find a way to ruin this draft. And give you some entertainment. But interesting that the Kyle Pitts team decides to double up on tight end and go ahead and take George Kittle here at pick 50. Really interesting. Really interesting. John coming out, thank you, my friend, says, hey, in a 12-team full PPR league, who should I start at the flex spot between Chase Edmonds and Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jalen Tolbert? Obviously, it looks like Michael Gallup's going to be missing this week, so maybe you're excited about Tolbert for that reason. No, you cannot start Jalen Tolbert until we see something. I think considering the fact that you're not going to have Jameson Williams in this Detroit Lions offense to start the year, you go ahead, you plug and play Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown should have a very nice floor and ceiling combination. And then what we can see is we can look at the role of Chase Edmonds and then try to determine if we want to start him after that. Okay. DK Metcalf off the board at 58. Let's scroll this back around. Michael Thomas goes, so we're going to go ahead. We are going to get J.K. Dobbins, and we're going to grab an elite level quarterback here. We haven't taken Jalen Hurts all offseason over Kyler Murray on builds where we did not take Hollywood Brown earlier on. Whereas when we do take Hollywood Brown at the 3-4 turn, then we take Kyler Murray over Jalen Hurts. But this is exactly why we decided to take those wide receivers like CeeDee Lamb early, just so we can take advantage of the value that we get with a J.K. Dobbins falling at pick 60. Obviously, we're more concerned now that you have Kenyon Drake looking like he's potentially a Baltimore Raven. But still, I love the value that you're getting with Dobbins at pick 60, knowing how run-heavy this offense wants to be. Okay. And then we have David Montgomery going 65. Craig coming out says, is Malik Willis worthy of a roster spot this year? He had a really good preseason from a fantasy standpoint. So with Malik Willis, he's probably going to be someone that you want to go through and jam into your starting lineup if he ever starts for the Tennessee Titans, just given the fact that he has that rushing upside. I mean, I never want to pretend that I'm some expert quarterback scout. I think literally 99% of people, I want to say 100% of people, in the fantasy football space do not know how to evaluate quarterbacks. I am right there with all of them. All we can look at is a rushing upside of quarterbacks coming into the NFL, situations they'd be stepping into, the amount of draft capital that they had, indicating the amount of job security that they'll see and their probability of actually starting for their NFL team. So with Malik Willis, given his rushing upside, I would say that he is someone that we start from a fantasy football perspective if he starts for the Tennessee Titans. But given his draft capital, he's highly unlikely to start for the Titans this year. I think it's Tannehill all year outside of an injury. So no. Don't waste a roster spot on Malik Willis unless it's dynasty. Joey says, is David Bell worth picking up as a bench piece? Depends on your... Please, instead of asking broad questions like this, a much easier way for me to answer this question, like, oh, do we want David Bell on the bench? If you're playing in a 12-team league where you can roster a total of 18 players, hell yeah, let's go get David Bell for the bench. But if you're playing in a 10-team format where you only roster 12 guys, no. So please clarify, who would you drop for David Bell? And same thing with like the Malik Willis question. Like it's much easier for me to go through and look at a player for player example, or if you tell me your exact league format so I can have an idea of what the player pool is going to look like, than just in a vacuum. Because trust me, I like David Bell. I think David Bell this year down the stretch can be this year's Amon-Ra St. Brown, a slot wide receiver that was undervalued due to the lack of speed that he had in this year's NFL draft. But if Deshaun Watson comes in and elevates this overall passing game through the final 6 weeks, I think that David Bell could be very similar to what Amon-Ra St. Brown was a year ago. Okay. So now let's move this over. And we got Allen Lazard off the board here at 79. JN up on the clock. Have not seen what JN's decided to do so far in this draft. He goes DeAndre Hopkins here. We talked about this a ton, but in these private drafts on Underdog where you don't have that tournament stretch weeks 15, 16, 17, I find it very hard to draft DeAndre Hopkins knowing you're not having him for the first 11 weeks. Whereas if you are playing instead in that tournament draft, hell yeah, go get DeAndre Hopkins at this price tag. But now let's see what these teams decide to do. You have Dallas Goedert going off the board here at pick 82. I mean, I had Jalen Hurts. I still probably wouldn't have taken Dallas Goedert. Okay, so let's see what Brandon decides to give us. He goes, what, Russ? So we're going to grab our second elite level quarterback, and we're going to take Amari Cooper as well. I think these are two very easy selections here. I mean, with Amari, I think that he was overvalued. But now you're getting him, what? I mean, how many wide receivers go before him? You're getting him as a wide receiver 4 in fantasy. We don't have T. Higgins. We don't have Jamar Chase to stack up with Joe Burrow at this point. But what we can do is we can decide to go through and we can grab Tyler Boyd a little later on. So it's not going to be the end of the world when we decide to go and take Joe Burrow, pick 84. I think we're fine. I think that it's an okay value. Of course, if you're playing in a shallow redraft league, you take Jalen Hurts, you're done. But in best ball, I think it does make a lot of sense to get two different quarterbacks that could provide you top 5 upside on a week-to-week basis. Okay. Jane says Hopkins is out 6. Yeah, I know Hopkins is out 6. Did I say he was out 11? I meant you were getting 11 weeks of play with DeAndre Hopkins. You were missing 6 weeks of play. Maybe I misspoke. Maybe I switched the words around. But no, my thought process remains the exact same. Like in a tournament-style contest, hell yeah, give me DeAndre Hopkins, pick 80. In these private drafts, with him missing 6 weeks, I don't know if I can be going with him at 80. Like, it's just two completely different formats you're drafting in. Chris Olave, 92. Dak Prescott goes 93 here. Once we have Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow, we're really hoping that quarterbacks go off. Now, what sucks is if we look at what the team next to us did as well, taking Russell Wilson there at 83, Jay Duds and Starog, who are watching this live stream, they know this, but they know we can no longer take quarterbacks. So say there was like a quarterback or a wide receiver that they wanted at pick like 106. They know every single time to go with the wide receiver that the quarterback's going to make it back around to them at the beginning of the 10th round. So they can kind of play into us in that fashion, knowing that we're capped out. We can no longer draft more quarterbacks. But still, I don't regret taking Joe Burrow there at all compared to, I mean, what else would we have done? I decided to go Kadarius Toney instead. Okay. So let's scroll this down. And we just passed 1,000 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping that like. And it looks like we are about 3,600 subscribers away from firing up the 24-hour stream. And I wonder if like cough drops or something can help my throat during that live stream. I don't know. Joey coming out says, my bad, David Bell. It's a 16-team league redraft, 16 roster spots, 8 starters and 8 bench. Would probably drop Tyrion Davis price. 100% 16-team league, especially because here I think that this is a spot where we're not just chasing the highest ceiling possible. In a 16-team league, if David Bell were to come out, if he were to be a top 36 wide receiver in general, then hell yeah. If he's a wide receiver 3, that is going to be someone that's consistently hitting your starting lineup. So I do think that David Bell is worth a roster spot. And based on the reports that we've had out of San Francisco, I think that it would be okay to drop Tyrion Davis price for him. But at the same time, I am a massive David Bell fan at his current price tag, which is free. You're getting him off the waiver wire. So maybe I'm a little bit too excited about it. Okay. So James Cook off the board. Let's see what we are going to be looking at on the way back around. So this is what I was talking about. So if like Starog here wanted to go Matthew Stafford, they would know that, hell, we can't take Brandon, can't take Stafford. I can't take Stafford. Maybe Brandon goes crazy and he does it. But, I mean, they know I can't. I'm admitting on the live stream that we won it. So far at quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts, Tyler Boyd, and Jayan decides to snipe us on Tyler Boyd. I'm assuming because I said something negative about his selection of DeAndre Hopkins earlier. But now that we have no Tyler Boyd, it does kind of suck for us. Like, we have no shot at getting a Cincinnati stack outside of Hayden Hurst later on. And are we that excited about that? So let's go through. I think we take Cordell Patterson here as a no-brainer, and then maybe Melvin Gordon as well. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's take Cordell Patterson and Melvin Gordon in a private draft. I don't necessarily think we're as inclined to go ahead and grab those rookie wide receivers as we did in a tournament draft last time. So let's not reach on someone that I like in the 10th round in Garrett Wilson. Instead, let's go Cordell Patterson and Melvin Gordon as our running back 3 and running back 4. So far at quarterbacks, we have Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. Running back, we have Najee Harris, J.K. Dobbins, Cordell Patterson, Melvin Gordon. And then wide receiver, we have CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, and Amari Cooper. Okay. So let's move this down. And please, guys, do not spam the chat over and over and over again. Like, you're allowed to come out in the chat and say, Mason, you're an idiot. Mason, you have no idea what you're talking about. Because those things may be true. And I'm never going to silence the truth. But when you start spamming the chat over and over and over again, you just ruin the chat for everyone else. Like, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Like, we have very few rules in the chat. You can come out here and call me ugly. I don't care. Just please don't spam your question and ruin the chat for everyone else. Okay. So now we have Derek Carr off the board, 112. We want to see as many of these quarterbacks off the board as possible. I'd imagine the only QBs that we get off before our next pick are Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, Stafford, and Kirk Cousins. Very interesting to see Stafford now falling with these guys. How much has Stafford fallen over the past few months? Because Stafford used to be someone that would go at the 8-9 turn, at least. Let me search this real quick to see where Stafford was going 2 months ago in these drafts. Because I feel like you never in a million years would see Stafford behind Derek Carr, but now it's something that consistently happens. Yeah, so ADP change. Rodgers, since this contest opens, fallen 22 picks. Burrow's fallen 20. Burrow's going at pick 55? Stafford has fallen 19. Yeah, so Stafford's fallen a lot. Stafford used to go at pick 88. Now has an ADP of 107, but I've seen him falling here more and more. Like, yeah, Stafford used to have an ADP of 88, so you'd go in like the middle of the 8th round, right next to where Tom Brady's currently going. Very interesting there. Okay. Jahan Dotson goes 122. So Gallup off the board. And this is why I don't like drafting with y'all. We aren't able to get our values that we like later on. Someone like a Michael Gallup there. Would be really nice if we saw Justin Fields go off, but that's not necessarily something that's guaranteed for us. Draft coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says Rashad Penny or Breece Hall week 1. I 100%, a million percent prefer Breece Hall rest of season. But before we actually see Breece Hall in the field, before we see what the split's like with Michael Carter, I think we probably end up going Rashad Penny. I mean, Breece Hall has the matchup for the Baltimore Ravens week 1. Obviously, that'd be something you would like to avoid if you could. You have the Seattle Seahawks going up against the Broncos Monday night week 1. So you do get Russell Wilson going up against Seattle. Like, I don't know if y'all have noticed this, guys, but the NFL is legitimately just a soap opera. Like, it is a soap opera for grown men. Russell Wilson playing the Denver Broncos. You have Baker Mayfield playing the Cleveland Browns. You have so many different interesting storylines here. You have Justin Fields, Trey Lance going at it. We have the Bills, Rams, obviously should be the best game week 1. So many different storylines to look at. Jalen Tolbert off the board, 130. Alexander Madison gone. Let's go ahead. Let's take Pat Freiermuth here as our first tight end. And then we're going to go ahead. We are going to reach on Mecole Hardman as our 5th guy. I think with Mecole Hardman, I think he is one of my most invested into wide receivers on Underdog from a pure dollar standpoint. The percentage of drafts isn't crazy with Mecole Hardman, but I do think that he does have a spike week upside, given the fact that this is someone in that Kansas City Chiefs offense playing alongside Patrick Mahomes. We don't know how the target distribution is going to break down with all these new toys in Kansas City. So given the ceiling that we have from a week-to-week standpoint on Mecole Hardman, completely fine taking him here, pick 133. But let's scroll this down. You have Alberto, 134, Rachaad White, 135, Tua Tagovailoa, 136. We do need to make sure we're getting Hayden Hurst later on with this team that has Burrow. I'm fine not having the Jalen Hurts stack because with Jalen Hurts, you're betting on the rushing upside, and that's pretty much it. But with Burrow, you are betting on the passing volume. But Will coming out here, thank you, my man, says Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Darren Waller, Allen Lazard, Terry McLaurin, Christian Kirk, Robert Woods, Cole Kmet, Tony Pollard, Naheem Hines, Burrow, Ingram. Okay. We got to fix this roster, my friend. We got to fix this roster. We're currently rostering Mark Ingram, Philip Lindsay. Cut them immediately. Philip Lindsay's not even on an NFL team. And with Mark Ingram, like the thing is, say something did happen. An injury occurred to Alexander Madison. Do we think that they go out there and throw Mark Ingram into the game and just give him a massive role? I don't think so. Mark Ingram turns 33 years old this season. Like, even if Kamara were to get suspended, even if Alvin Kamara were to get hurt, I don't think you're even starting Mark Ingram in that type of scenario. So let's go through. Let's drop Mark Ingram. Let's drop Philip Lindsay. I can't see your waiver wire here, but I can guarantee you are going to have better options, my friend. And then at quarterback, who did we have? We have Stafford at QB. Do we have him paired up with Kupp or Allen Robinson? No, we do not. We have Burrow at quarterback as well. So I think when we have Burrow at quarterback, in a shallow redraft format, I'm not as excited about rostering 2 QBs. Maybe if you are going to roster 2 of these guys, Stafford is more than capable to be that second option for you where you could go through, you could play the matchups between these 2 options. So I don't think we have to make a play there. But running back, we have Aaron Jones and Nick Chubb. Fine with that. We have the great tight end with Darren Waller. To be honest with you, my man, I don't like this team. In a 12-team half PPR format, I don't like the team. I'm trying to figure out how we could fix it other than dropping Philip Lindsay and Mark Ingram for higher upside options off the waiver wire. I think we're wasting just too many of these roster spots. Like you have Cole Kmet on this team as well when we have Darren Waller. I would love to trade Cole Kmet in a package with like Christian Kirk or Allen Lazard to get an upgrade at wide receiver, open up another bench spot for us to take a high upside running back off the waiver wire, drop Mark Ingram, drop Philip Lindsay for more appealing options off those waiver wires. Yeah, I think we can churn through that bench. And Mike coming out says 10-team non-PPR format where we got 1 flex, 3 bench spots. Okay, so super shallow format. Only 3 bench spots. Those 3 bench spots should just be made up of the highest ceiling players possible. So we have Lamar, Allen Robinson, Jerry Jeudy, Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley, Mark Andrews, Javonte Williams, Josh Jacobs, Deontay Godwin, Kyler Hopkins, and he moves. Okay, so I really hope that with DeAndre Hopkins here, you're able to go through and you're able to put him on your IR. I know that some redraft leagues are a little weird in that you can go through and put a suspended player on IR. If so, love the stack that we have with those 2 individuals. Love the Lamar Andrews build. But if we only have 3 bench spots and we are making 2 of those bench spots be Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins when we have Lamar Jackson sitting here, it's going to be very difficult for us to make any waiver wire moves throughout the season. So if we could, I think we would go ahead. We'd look to package Kyler and Allen Robinson up for a significant upgrade at wide receiver, possibly try to bring in an elite level wide receiver. Love the Lamar and Andrew stack though. And Will says, thank you very much. Thank you, Will, for, of course, coming out here, hanging out with us in the live stream and supporting the channel. Sorry, maybe that I sounded a little bit rude, but yeah, just definitely go through and try to fix that bench. Try to trade Cole Kmet in a package, open up a roster spot that way. Just cut Philip Lindsay, cut Mark Ingram, and pick up some higher upside options. Okay, so Nico Collins off the board here, 152. Let's swing this back around. So far, QB, we have Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. Running back, we have Najee Harris, J.K. Dobbins, Cordell Patterson, Melvin Gordon. Wide receiver, we have CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, McCole Hardman. And then at tight end, we have Pat Freiermuth. Okay. Do we go? We're going to reach on Robbie Anderson here. I think that Robbie Anderson's not affected by Laviska Shenault coming over to Carolina. And I think in a private draft in particular, we're probably incentivized to just go through and get these guys that are going to have access to a very high floor on a week-to-week basis with their overall target share. If this was a tournament-style contest, maybe we go through and maybe we have a different approach here at the turn. But in a private draft in particular, I think that we just take the player that we know is going to get a crap ton of targets here in Robbie Anderson at 156. And if y'all want to join our next draft after this one, make sure you go sign up for Underdog. You can find the link in the live chat. When you sign up for Underdog, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. So it's completely free for you to try out. And when you use promo code FLOCK, you're going to get our top 150 rankings, our quarterback rankings, running back rankings, receiver rankings, tight end rankings. You're going to get our draft guide, which has 300 pages of information almost, and it's going to help you even if you've already had your draft, literally with a $10 deposit on Underdog. And Underdog's best ball. So you do not submit a starting lineup on a week-to-week basis. You don't do waivers. That's automatically done for you in terms of submitting your starting lineup with the best possible option at the end of the week. So I'm able to draft over 700 of these teams here because there's no time commitment during the season. And we are going to be drafting here during the 24-hour live stream. We're going to be drafting here every single night until the season kicks off. So if you want to get in a draft with us, you'll have a million opportunities. You can find the link in the live chat. Just use promo code FLOCK. Now, and please, for the love of God, I need y'all drafting with me in that 24-hour live stream. I don't know if we are going to have I don't know if we're going to have like Puppy 4 open during that time. I don't know if we're going to have tournament drafts I can enter in. So it's probably going to be like 50 private drafts we do in that live stream. So I need y'all out here drafting with me for 24 hours. I know we have more than enough people wanting to come out here and draft with us every single night. But when we get to that 24-hour live stream, I don't know how many people are going to be wanting to draft with us at 3 in the morning. I mean, I'm not going to want to be drafting at 3 in the morning. I promise you that. I promise you that. Okay. Trent coming out says, Mason, you know I love you. I drafted tonight. Rate my team. 12-team PPR. We got the 12th pick. We went Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, the 1-2 turn, J.K. Dobbins, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf. Okay, good. We had the elite level quarterback, Jalen Hurts, Chase Edmonds, Bateman, Carter, Knox, Darrell Henderson, Tolbert. I love you. Appreciate you, my man. Of course, thank you so much for coming out, hanging out with us here in the live stream. So breaking this down position by position at running back, we have Mixon running back 1, Dobbins 2. Then later on, we are rostering running backs that have roles in their receiving game, roles in their passing game with upside for more in Chase Edmonds, with Michael Carter, with Rachaad White. And we even have Darrell Henderson, who could be the starting running back for the Rams if something occurs to Cam Akers. Love what we're doing at running back here, specifically on the bench, targeting those high upside players. Love what we are doing there. And then at wide receiver, we have Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, Stephon Diggs. We have Bateman, Tolbert. I don't know what I can say with this team. Maybe I'm sure you already know this. Like, I'm not doing anything groundbreaking here. I mean, a monkey could tell you this. But if we could trade Rashad Bateman whenever he's a depth piece and not projected to be in our starting lineup on a week-to-week basis and package him up with Dawson Knox to try to get a tight end that we're a little bit more excited about, whether that's Dalton Schultz, Darren Waller, George Kittle. I don't think you're getting Pitts, Andrews, or Kelsey for that combination. Of course, we'd be very excited to do that. I really like this team, my friend. I mean, I'm trying to come up with anything else we could possibly even do here. No, I think it's a very strong roster. And thank you for supporting the channel. And now let's move this back around. We have Alec Pierce 175. Jackson says, have you locked in the 24-hour live stream day? No, because it looks like we are going to end up hitting 90,000 subscribers before the season starts. But right now we are about, I believe, 3,600 away, so it's not a guarantee. So we have not locked in today. Once we get it to where it's like a guarantee, we are definitely getting 90,000 subscribers, then we'll lock in that day for everyone. Now, Kenny Golladay goes, this sucks. We don't get Hayden Hurst. We wanted Hayden Hurst to pair up with Joe Burrow, of course, but Hayden Hurst ended up going to Monkey Mind at 172. AJ Green off the board. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Marvin Jones, especially, I mean, when you have Laviska Shenault going over there to Carolina, I think it's an easy pick. Maybe we just take Evan Ingram as well, get our second tight end here. I mean, with Evan Ingram, Pat Freiermuth, I think we want to bring in a third tight end, especially in a private draft. But I think we're in a good spot. And let me know, do y'all like seeing our last 2-round picks, or would y'all rather just have me tell you the positions we're going with and then go ahead and fire up the next draft? Let me know when we get to this point, what do y'all prefer me to do? Just fire up the next draft, send out that new link in the live chat, or do y'all enjoy seeing these last 2 picks? Okay. Let's scroll this down. Trade coming out says, Udaman Mason, love fantasy. I got Dawson Knox for Stephon Diggs. Okay, so I guess it does make sense having that correlation there. What could be interesting? How could we make a trade for Jalen Hurts for Josh Allen work? I guess maybe Jalen Hurts and like McLaurin, or Jalen Hurts and Metcalf for Josh Allen. Or if we could get away with like Jalen Hurts and Bateman for Josh Allen, I think that would be very interesting with this team to get the double stack with Diggs as well as Knox. Okay, it looks like every single person wants us to just fire up the next draft. Let's get that going, ladies and gentlemen. I will grab this link here, and it's going to be sent out in the live chat. It'll just say $3 private draft here. $3 draft here. You click that link, you're in. You don't have to worry about anything else. You just have to click it in time and have good enough Wi-Fi to get in. Maybe if your service is too bad, you got to call Verizon, call AT&T, call someone to fix that situation for you. Okay. But I don't know how many people like to see those last 2 rounds. Like, I will tell you on the live stream what we ended up doing. Of course, I can't lie on the live stream because everybody in that draft is out here watching. But I'll tell you what we end up doing. But yeah, I'd imagine most people would prefer us to just get this going. And, you know, give us, okay, 109. I guess it's a little bit better than 112. I mean, we're not that excited about ever drafting at 12. 109 is not great either. It's not like we're super excited about the 109 anyway. So let's move this around. So we are 4 picks away in that other draft. We are going to be looking at, I'd assume, yeah, we definitely need a third tight ends. And then probably an 8th wide receiver. Just depends what receiver we end up getting. Okay, so Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon off the board, 101, 102. Not a real surprise to what you see in the majority of drafts. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have felt like it's more common for Jonathan Taylor to go at the 101 now than it was a few weeks back. Felt like a few weeks ago it was literally a coin flip if you were going to see JT or Christian McCaffrey off. Where now I feel like 9 times out of 10, you do have JT at 1 and Christian McCaffrey at 2. Let me know if I'm mistaken, though. Okay, so the other draft, we decided to go ahead and to take Devin Duvernay as our 8th wide receiver, someone that I went to the University of Texas with. I'm always going to root for our guy. And then we're going to take another tight end in Mo Alley Cox. Okay, so we have Kupp going 4, Jefferson at 3. Nothing to talk about at this point. I mean, this is standard. Doc going Austin Eckler. Doc, I need to hear your opinion of this in the live chat. Why are you going Eckler here over Ja'Marr Chase? Why are you going Eckler here over Ja'Marr Chase? I mean, this is something I would have roasted a couple weeks back, but with the Isaiah Spiller reports, maybe it's okay. But let me know your thought process here, my friend. Now, Stefon Diggs goes at 8, so I guess we are locked into Derrick Henry at 9. I mean, y'all know usually we like taking Stefon Diggs round 1. Stefon Diggs is my most drafted round 1 player on Underdog. Okay. And we are about to pass 1,200 likes in the stream. Thank you so much for everybody who's gone down there and dropped a like on the live stream. I think at this rate, we are going to break our all-time like record on the stream. I think there's an outside chance. I think there's an outside chance we break the all-time like record if we continue this pace up. Now, Carly coming out says, rate 1 to 10. Thank you, Carly, for coming out every single night. Says Kyler Murray, Najee Harris, James Conner, Jerry Jeudy, Hollywood Brown, Kyle Pitts, Antonio Gibson, Chris Olave, James Cook, Treylon Burks, Darrell Henderson, Jahan Dotson. Okay, let me make my selection real quick, and we'll get back to this. We're going to take CeeDee Lamb. But let's look. Okay, so with Kyler Murray, you have potentially a top 3 quarterback here at the position. Nothing to complain about at all. I mean, with Najee Harris, you potentially have a top 5 running back. Nothing to complain about. With Conner, I think you have a serviceable running back too. And also you have that built-in correlation between James Conner, Hollywood Brown, and Kyler Murray. You have Kyle Pitts, the elite level tight end. What I really liked, I love this team. From a construction standpoint, I love this team. Like, it's not the craziest roster I've ever seen in terms of the value that you're getting on it. But the decision, like the thought process being made, I think is 100% valid. And that it looks like specifically what I'm excited about is down there on the bench, we are taking shots on high upside players. We are taking shots on those high upside guys. We have someone like a Jahan Dotson. We have someone like a Treylon Burks. So I really like the team. Yeah, Teresa says 1.6 thousand likes is the record. I think 1.6 thousand likes is the record. I think it is, but I think we could get there. We could get there. Now we have Deebo Samuel going 21. So this is the second draft today. We've seen Tyreek Hill go before Deebo Samuel at this point. I mean, in that $500 draft, we ended up getting Christian McCaffrey at 2 and then Deebo Samuel on the way back around at pick 23. Is there a reason why Deebo's been falling as of late? Like, trust me, I've been making the arguments that Deebo does have some serious red flags. But I don't know. I feel like Deebo Samuel's probably someone we need to be drafting before Tyreek Hill. But let me see if Doc79 ever told us his thought process here deciding to go Eckler. Let me search Doc's name in the chat. Doc says in a private draft only. I guess in a private draft, you're right. In those private drafts, you should be sliding up running backs compared to receivers with what you'd be doing in a tournament. Yeah, I think that's a fair argument. Now, Chris coming out says, would you trade Joe Mixon for DeAndre Swift if you have Ja'Marr Chase on your team in an 8-team PPR league? Nope. I think Joe Mixon's a tier above Ja'Marr Chase. I'm not worried about having both Cincinnati Bengals on the same roster. If anything, I kind of like having them both on the same roster. You're making that one correlated bet that the Cincinnati Bengals offense is better than people are expecting. And if it's better than people are expecting, if they decide to push the pace of play with the improved offensive line, then I think you could have multiple players benefiting with Joe Mixon and Ja'Marr Chase. But Keenan Allen off the board here at 30. So we have Derrick Henry and CeeDee Lamb. Let's see what ends up happening. Here's what I'd probably do. DJ Moore off the board. DJ Moore goes to Jelly Pump, someone who always is out here sniping us in these drafts. Mike Williams goes. I guess we take Allen. Let's go ahead. Let's take Josh Allen, pick 33. It is what it is. Courtland Sutton goes off the board, 34. David says Debo has a contusion to the back of his knee, out a week of practice. Okay, I did see Debo was dealing with something on his knee. I didn't know he was out for a week. Let me look this up. Okay, Hollywood Brown going 39. Let's go ahead. Let's take Travis Etienne here as our second running back. As I've discussed, I'm more worried about Travis Etienne now that you have James Robinson looking healthy. But, I mean, I think at this point, pick 40 is going to be completely fine value. Okay. I looked up Debo Samuel on Twitter, and this was a pretty funny meme. It's just like some guy like sitting out of, I don't know if I should pull this up. It's like some guy sitting out of a coffin, like looking up, clearly alive. And then like, it was just quote, "Thank you for coming, Debo Samuel. He was your biggest fan." That was pretty funny. Now we have Jerry Jeudy, Gabriel Davis off the board, 42, 43. Newsflash says McLaurin, Zeke, Woods for Mike Williams, Rashad Bateman, and Allen Robinson. Mike Williams, McLaurin, I do prefer Mike Williams. It's not a massive gap between the two. I prefer Allen Robinson over Robert Woods. You're pivoting off of. I think if it's a shallow redraft league, you probably just keep Ezekiel Elliott. But if it's like a league where you can start 4 more wide receivers, I think you are getting upgrades at the receiver position that make it worth it. But it is going to come down to your format. If you can only start up to 3 wide receivers, including your flexes, then I don't think we go through and I don't think we make the deal. But if it's a deeper league, I think we can. Brandon Cooks off the board here, pick 50. George Kittle goes 51. Let's swing this around. At this point, obviously, we are going to be looking for some wide receiver value when we only have one receiver through the first 4 rounds. But if we have a running back value we like making it to us, we will not be afraid to take a running back. Michael Thomas, are you kidding me here? Thomas' hamstring wasn't spotted at Tuesday's practice. Thomas has missed almost 2 weeks as a result of the hamstring injury. It's too early to tell whether his availability for the Saints' September 11th regular season opener. Oh my gosh, are you joking? We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're very rarely ever getting Amon-Ra St. Brown in this range of drafts now. Usually this is a player going at the 4-5 turn, which, to be honest with you, I don't love the value of Amon-Ra St. Brown at that price point if we were going to be looking at a half PPR league, especially if we assume that Jameson Williams is going to be back in the second half of the year, possibly limiting the upside that you have for Jameson Williams during that playoff stretch. But here, where it's a private draft, we don't have to worry about that playoff stretch. I think we're completely fine taking Amon-Ra St. Brown, 57. Okay. Carly says, can we rate the team 1 through 10? I can rate the team 1 through 10. I don't think it's going to help that much, but I'd say probably a 7. I think it looks like you went up against solid drafters that weren't just idiots and letting you get any value that you wanted. But at the same time, you had a good thought process. That's what it looks like the team was. Now, let's see. Eddie goes Adam Thielen. I guess we go ahead. We take Michael Thomas as our third wide receiver. Saint coming out with the donation. Thank you, Saint. I think I emailed this to you earlier as well. But because I saw this Google profile pic, I have my own Great Pyrenees, best dog in the world. Just love to see the profile pic. It says, hey, Mason, I'd love to hear your thoughts on my team in my dynasty startup draft. We got a 12-team half PPR, Jalen Hurts at quarterback, CMC, Joe Mixon, Davis, Woods. Which Davis is this? I'm assuming. Okay, Gabe. It's going to be Gabe Davis. It's going to be Gabe Davis. Okay, for a second, I was thinking that it was possibly Mike Davis. But Gabriel Davis, Robert Woods, Dallas Goedert, Elijah Mitchell, Jalen Tolbert. Okay, this is a very unique team. I think that this is a team that is built to win now with Christian McCaffrey and Joe Mixon that doesn't currently have enough firepower. But what I love that we did, and please do not panic. On paper, yeah, this team doesn't necessarily look like it has enough firepower to win the championship this season in particular. When we have those for 2023 first, during the year, when there are teams that realize that they have to switch to being rebuilding rosters and dynasty, we are going to be able to look at those 2023 first, and we are going to be able to trade them for really just whatever our choosing is with whatever value that we can find in the league that we like. Those 2023 first, it's literally like you just have dollar bills in your back pocket. We are going to the store this season. We don't know exactly what we're going to need, but while we're there, we can go and we can buy whatever we want. So I like the team. I think we wait until about weeks 4, week 5, then target a team that's having to rebuild and go and trade for another veteran with some future picks. Okay. But Jesse says PPR 12-team league. We have Mahomes, Diggs, Mike Williams, Kareem Hunt, Breece Hall, Travis Kelce, Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, Chris Olave, Treylon Burks, Kenneth Walker, Rashad White, Justin Fields, Jahan Dotson. What are your thoughts? Okay, we have the elite level quarterback with Patrick Mahomes. Tight end, we have the elite level tight end with Kyle Pitts. We have possibly a top 5 wide receiver with Stephon Diggs. Mike Williams is a more than capable wide receiver too. At running back, we have Travis Kelce on this team. Okay, I don't know if your league mates just went through and severely underrated Kyle Pitts and you picked him up as trade bait later on. Obviously, I mean, you already know this. I don't even need to say this out loud. The goal with this roster, when we have the Mahomes and Kelce stack, we need running back help, and we have Kyle Pitts, is we need to see a hot start from Kyle Pitts. Have your league mates realize that they were idiots for letting you get Kyle Pitts at such a strong value, and then try to flip Kyle Pitts in one of these running backs and do an upgrade at the running back position, looking at someone like Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, any running back in tier 2 or 3. Really like the team. I don't think you need me to tell you that we're going to be eventually trading Kyle Pitts for a running back. I'm assuming what happened is you just got value that you couldn't pass up on Kyle Pitts with. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's take Amari Cooper. Usually we haven't taken Clyde Edwards-Helaire here at the 7-8 turn, but I think that at this point, we probably need to go ahead. We probably need to slow down our Clyde Edwards-Helaire love ever so slightly. When Ronald Jones is coming in, when you have Rojo, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon, and Isaiah Pacheco all on the same team. I mean, all making the roster. But Schwab coming out, thank you, says 12-team Superflex. We had the 3rd pick. We went Herbert, Aaron Jones, Trey Lance. Oh my gosh, love this. So we have the 2 elite level quarterbacks in a Superflex format. We have Deebo Samuel stacked up with Trey Lance. David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back. We saw the elite level tight end with Darren Waller. Looks like we don't have too much at wide receiver beyond Deebo Samuel, where we're currently sitting with Deebo Samuel, Deebo Samuel, Kadarius Toney, Robert Woods, Chris Olave. It would be interesting. We're going to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire when he falls to the pick 88. It would be interesting if we could potentially go through, package together a bench running back like Miles Sanders with one of these wide receivers in Kadarius Toney or Robert Woods, and get a stack with Mike Williams that would bring in either Justin Herbert, that would bring in either Mike Williams or Keenan Allen, where we could upgrade that wide receiver spot where we need to, and also we'd build in correlation with this team. Okay. Saint says one of the picks is also being projected to be the 101 too. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. No, thank you. And of course, if you think that pick's the 101, you don't trade that pick. You don't trade that pick. But Carly says rate 1 to 10 this roster. We got Winston, Elijah Mitchell, David Montgomery, Justin Jefferson, Pittman, Andrews, Lazard, Elijah Moore, Ramondre Stevenson, DeAndre Hopkins, Melvin Gordon. Okay, so I don't like this team as much. I mean, at quarterback, Winston's not even someone worth bringing up. If you are rostering Winston in a shallow redraft league, you might as well just say we're streaming QB. Like, if Winston's your starting quarterback that you came away with in your draft, don't feel attached to Jameis Winston through the entire season. I like the upside of Jameis Winston, and trust me, I think the NFL is more fun with Jameis Winston as the starting quarterback. I am going to be rooting for Jameis Winston this upcoming season. I want Jameis Winston to be a starting quarterback in the NFL for the next decade. Literally just seeing the funny Jameis Winston compilations. Like, if you are ever having a bad day, what I encourage you to do is go to YouTube and look up funny Jameis Winston compilation, and your day will instantly be better. Instantly. I want Jameis, but to be honest with you, this is going to be just streaming level quarterback, bad running back core with Elijah Mitchell, David Montgomery. We have the elite receivers, the elite tight end. I think that this team is significantly worse than the last one, though. I'd say this is probably like a 5 out of 10. Matt says also forgot Nick Chubb at running back too. Okay, so Matt says 12-team full PPR. Sorry, Matt. Thank you for saying you also forgot Nick Chubb. I was an idiot. I don't know how we would possibly miss this. But Derek Carr, Deontay Johnson, Gabriel Davis, Austin Eckler. Okay, Nick Chubb. It would have been much worse if we did not have Nick Chubb here. Travis Kelce, Travis Etienne. And on the bench, we have Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Dillon, Darrell Henderson. I love the team. What can I realistically say? I mean, once we get DeAndre Hopkins back in, DeAndre Hopkins playing, then maybe at that time we'll have enough firepower at wide receiver where we can afford to just go through. We can afford to potentially move one of these guys, whether that's Michael Thomas, Gabriel Davis, or Deontay Johnson with Derek Carr to bring in the elite level QB, possibly like bringing in a Patrick Mahomes by trading away Deontay Johnson as well as Derek Carr to stack up with Kelce, because you would have DeAndre Hopkins coming in. Overall, I really like the upside we have on the bench. Okay. But Rodgers off the board here, 102. When we have Allen, we want to see these quarterbacks going, so it's probably a pretty good thing for us. I like the top 3 options that we have currently available. Let's see what ends up falling. Okay, I did not even notice we have Eddie and Dark Horse in this draft. Dog 79 in this draft. We have a ton of regulars out here. Kareem Hunt goes 103. I think we should begin building in some correlation in here with this Buffalo Bills passing offense. I'm not a massive fan of Dawson Knox. Like, I really would rather just get Pat Freiermuth in a few rounds. So instead of taking Dawson Knox for the correlation, what I'll probably do is I'll probably just take James Cook and then try to get Dawson Knox on the way back around in the 10th. Yeah, Lock gets off. So let's go James Cook here because we have Josh. And I think with James Cook, he's one of the very few running backs that is going to correlate with his QB, and it's because you're expecting 99% of his value to come in the form of his receiving game usage. Literally, the Buffalo Bills tried to do anything they could to bring in that receiving down running back this year. They tried to go out there and sign J.D. McKissick in free agency. When they didn't get McKissick and he ended up going back to Washington, they had to reach on James Cook in the second round. So I think getting James Cook 105 is going to be fine. And if we get Dawson Knox making it back to us, we probably will go ahead and take Dawson Knox, but I don't know if that's guaranteed. Dawson Knox goes. So we're going to get Treylon Burks at pick 112. Thank you. Thank you. Like, I don't even want to sit here and cry that we didn't get Dawson Knox for the double stack with Josh Allen. Like, I'm completely fine just taking the value of Treylon Burks here. So far, running back, we have Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, James Cook. Wide receiver, we have CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Michael Thomas, Amari Cooper, Treylon Burks. We have the elite level quarterback with Josh Allen as well. Okay, so let's swing this over. Jay Carlos coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says half PPR, pick 3. We got Jalen Waddle, Christian Kirk, Devonta Smith, Dameon Pierce, Treylon Burks, Rashad Bateman, and Darrell Henderson. Okay, assuming Cam Akers plays week 1, we're not going Henderson. I think we have to play Jalen Waddle as a no-brainer. Can't play Treylon Burks week 1. I'm hesitant to play Dameon Pierce week 1. I think you have to start Jalen Waddle. Is this a cop-out answer? Let me know what y'all are thinking. Are you just willing to go through and jam in Dameon Pierce into your starting lineup immediately week 1? Let me look up who his matchup is and if this game should be competitive. Probably not. It's the Houston Texans. Who does Houston play? They play the Colts. Let me look up what the spread on this game is. Okay, I have not done this in a while. I'm excited to look at this. Week 1 spreads NFL. Okay. Here, I want to do this hypothetical with you real quick because I don't think we have. I would imagine the majority of people in this live chat have not looked at spreads in a very long time. What do y'all think the spread is with this Indianapolis and Houston Texans game. Across every sports book, it's essentially the exact same. Letting y'all get your guesses in right now. I'll tell you, it's 8. I'm going to give a cop-out answer. I think we're starting Dameon Pierce by week 2. But for week 1 in particular, let's go with the veterans. Let's go Waddle, Kirk, and Smith. And White Boy coming out says, Scary Terry and Rondale Moore for Deontay Johnson. I have Evans, Bateman, and Chris Olave as well. Honestly, I think you go Scary Terry. I mean, I think a lot of people would possibly prefer Scary Terry. Brian says -6. Yeah, it looks like the majority of people were giving the Texans too much credit. They were giving them too much credit. I've been talking about this all offseason. I don't know why everybody thinks Davis Mills is so underrated. Like in that the Houston Texans offense is sneaky good. Davis Mills is bad. Vegas has the Houston Texans as the worst team in the NFL this year. And week 1, starting off right off the bat, they have the largest spread of any NFL game. The largest spread is Indianapolis -8. The next largest is the Baltimore Ravens -7. Literally, the Baltimore Ravens against the New York Jets, that's supposed to be a closer game than the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. Universal RTR says, I traded Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Dameon Pierce straight up. Is that a good trade for me? If you would have made that trade 2 weeks ago, I would have made fun of you, but I would have been wrong. I recently did have to move Dameon Pierce above Clyde Edwards-Helaire in our rankings. I had to throw in the towel. I had to do it. Okay, I think at this point, do we just go through and draft Jahan Dotson? Yeah, let's take Dotson here. And I think we had a Rusty coming out. Thank you, my friend, says, Tattoo League. Oh, my gosh. Like, this is coming from someone who's never gotten a tattoo, probably will never get a tattoo, but if I was playing in a fantasy football league where the loser got a tattoo, I would be terrified. I would pay more attention to that league than I have. Like, I would treat that league as if it was a full-time job. Oh, my gosh. But anyway, you got CMC. To be honest with you, like in a regular fantasy football draft, I'm fine taking CMC because I try to get first or last, and I don't want anything in between. But if you're telling me we get last, I mean, we get a tattoo if we end up getting last place. I don't know how excited I am to draft Christian McCaffrey there. But Diggs, Saquon Barkley. Okay, great. How the hell did you get this? Mike Williams, J.K. Dobbins, Juju, Christian Kirk, Brandon Ayuk, James Cook, Brian Robinson, Palmer, Kenneth Gainwell. Trade Christian Kirk or Brandon Ayuk for A.J. Dillon or Rashad Penny. Yes, trade either one of those guys for Dillon immediately. I don't care what the rest of the roster is. Great team, by the way. I think you have a crap ton of upside with this build. You don't even need a running back. If anything, I'd make the argument you need receiver more, but I just definitely prefer, especially in only a 10-team half PPR league, A.J. Dillon over those receivers. Okay. Now we are about to be on the clock. We had a little bit of a run on wide receiver go. Do we just take Jalen Tolbert? I think we can go Tolbert here. We have Lamb. Maybe we just... No, we already have Treylon Burks, Jahan Dotson. I would 100% take Tolbert if this was a league that had the fantasy football playoffs. But when there is no fantasy football playoffs, let's take Rachaad White. Let's get someone that can have a passing down role on a week-to-week basis and upside for more if there were an injury to Leonard Fournette in front of him. But let me show off this entire draft board. If you were just now coming to this live stream, make sure you drop a like. I mean, I can see that there are more people right now who have dropped a like in the live stream than watching it currently. So I'd imagine that 99.9999% of y'all have already dropped that like. So thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate you. And I really have nothing else to say. Y'all are ridiculous, literally crazy with the amount of support that y'all have showed this season. And if y'all want to get into our next draft, make sure you go sign up for Underdog. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up for Underdog, and they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. We'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings. We'll get our 2022 fantasy football draft guide, and it's best ball. So you don't submit a starting lineup on a week-to-week basis. That's automatically done for you at the end of every week. You draft 18 rounds, so there's no waiver wire. So I'm able to draft 700 teams here because all these teams have no time commitment during the season. So it's the perfect spot that I know you have that one fantasy football league you really care about, but you can draft 10 more on Underdog if you want, and it's not going to take any time away at all during the season for your main league. And when you deposit $10, you get all that crap, which I shouldn't say crap. Our draft guide is a masterpiece. And most importantly, you get to help me out and draft me on these live streams every single night. And draft me in that 24-hour live stream if we hit 90,000 subs, because I still have no idea how we're doing that. Okay. So let's swing this back around to the live chat. We got John coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says, rate the team. At quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts. Running back, we have Mixon, Josh Jacobs. Okay, thank God we have Justin Jefferson at wide receiver. Mike Williams. We have the elite tight end with George Kittle. At flex, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Kyler Murray on the bench. I definitely think we need to trade one of these QBs. Chase Edmonds, Gallup, Tolbert, DeAndre Hopkins, and Dawson Knox. I would probably look to go ahead and trade Jalen Hurts if we have the Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins stack for later on in the year. I definitely think I would go through and look to trade Jalen Hurts. I'm just trying to come up with a deal that would make sense. Like if we could move Jalen Hurts and George Kittle and we could get one of those top 2 tight ends in Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews, I think that'd be fantastic. And then also you could throw in Dawson Knox with that package. Like if we could trade Jalen Hurts, actually no, you can't throw Dawson Knox in that package, never mind. Or Jalen Hurts, George Kittle, Dawson Knox, and in return we get back Travis Kelce, and then we're able to pick up 2 high upside running backs off the waiver wire. I'd really like the move. Strong team though, crap ton of value. Let's move this Hunter Henry off the board. Let's go ahead. I guess we take KJ Osborne when he falls this far. Like, it's harder for us to take the rookies here when we already have 4 rookies on this squad, and this is not a tournament-style draft. Instead, this is going to be that private draft where we're trying to optimize for weeks 1 through 17, not just weeks 15 through 17. Tanner says, our league's punishment this year is a Pierce nipple. I feel like that's a real good punishment. I feel like Pierce nipple's a great punishment because like, it's not like a tattoo. They don't have to remember that they lost that fantasy football league in 2022 for the rest of their lives. But still, it's a big enough punishment to get the message across. That's a great one. Now, Martin coming out says, 6th pick, 10-team PPR. Jalen Hurts, Joe Mixon, Antonio Gibson, Justin Jefferson, Deontay Johnson, Elijah Mitchell, Travis Kelce, Travis Etienne, Cooks, Dillon, Tony, Hopkins, MVS, Madison. The thing is, if we're looking at a build like this, we have so much depth here. And this is what you're going to find in a lot of those 10-team shallow leagues where you are just able to bring in stud after stud after stud down there on the bench, where it almost makes more sense for you to go through and just make as many 2-for-1 drafts as possible. As many 2-for-1 trades as possible. I'm sorry. You can tell we've been live for, over the past 2 days, we've been live for almost 4 hours every single night. Now it looks like we're pushing 3. But I'm trying to come up with a deal that would make sense for this build. If we can patch together like Elijah Mitchell and Antonio Gibson and get back a running back that we're very excited about, that'd be great because you would still be sitting with the team that has Travis Etienne and A.J. Dillon as their running back 3 and running back 4. Love something like that. Okay. Now, after we take David Njoku, we're still going to be looking to add in 2 more tight ends to this roster. Outside of the 2 more tight ends, I think that we want another QB, but we only have to draft 1 more quarterback. When you take Josh Allen in the 3rd round, you were so invested into Josh Allen being a top 3 QB in fantasy that if he's not, this team's trash to begin with, so there's no way in hell that we can take another quarterback after this. But I do think that the number 1 priority at this point is just hammering in some of these tight ends. Van Jefferson goes off the board here, 170. Tommy says, can't wait for the 24-hour live stream. That makes one of us, my friend. I know this sounds crappy for me to say, crappy for me to admit, but I've said it over and over again because it's the honest truth. The reason I said we do a 24-hour live stream if we hit 90,000 subscribers is I thought there was no way it was happening. And then y'all started to come out to these live streams and drop 1,300 likes on a stream and blow this channel up. So, of course, thank you so much for that. And if the cost is me doing a 24-hour live stream, then I'll be happy to do a 24-hour live stream. But we said it because we thought it wasn't going to happen. I thought that was not happening. David says 100,000 equals 36 hours. I'm thinking of how to be careful with my words here. Because 36 hours, I maybe would die. We're hitting 100,000 subscribers this season. Obviously, the challenge is to do it before the year happens. I'm not going to say yes to that because the outside chance that someone goes through and like has a bunch of bots on the channel and y'all kill me in the 36-hour live stream. I'm not going to say yes to that. It's tempting because I feel like if there would be no foul play, it would just be a 100% chance it happens. Isaiah Likely off. We have to go ahead. We have to take Noah Fan here. We have to take a second tight end. I mean, a third tight end at this point, pairing up with Evan Ingram and David Njoku. Obviously, if this was just a regular fantasy football league, it would be very difficult to figure out who to start here on a week-to-week basis. But considering the fact that it's best ball, I think that we should have some of these guys just cycling through our starting lineup every single week. Okay. Teresa says, Mason, people are asking what your draft guide includes. Thank you, Teresa, for pointing this out. Okay, so our draft guide is almost 300 pages of essentially in-depth player profiles. So in our top 150 rankings, I dive in and write a couple pages for each player with a bullish case and a bearish case on why you would or would not draft them, saying, if you wanted to draft Jalen Waddle, here are all the great signs on why Jalen Waddle is going to crush this upcoming season. But here are also the downsides of Jalen Waddle and why someone would be scared to draft him. So I include my own rankings to give you an idea of how I'm viewing each player, and I try my best to stay unbiased and to explore both range of outcomes with a player for this upcoming season and paint a fair picture. Obviously, with some guys that I have been drafting a lot, maybe you can kind of tell like, oh yeah, no, yeah, obviously we're being a little bit biased there, speaking more on the upside than the downside. But essentially that's 99.99% of the draft guide. It has our top 150 rankings, has our positional rankings, but 99% of it's player profiles. Okay. So now we have Jarrett McKinnon, Tyrion Davis-Price, Eno Benjamin all off the board. How many running backs do we have? We have 5 RBs. Obviously, in a tournament style draft, you never consider drafting another running back. That thought never comes through your mind. In a private draft, it's kind of okay, depending on the receivers that are going to be available. But yeah, no, it looks like the running backs that are going here are not going to be that much better on the receiver. So I think we're going to be fine going ahead and taking a wide receiver for an 8th guy and then taking a second QB. We have Curtis Samuel off the board here, 197. Looks like Jelly Pump already has 3 quarterbacks. Shouldn't expect them to go with another QB. This team here has Rodgers and Kirk Cousins. I feel like with Rodgers and Cousins, if you're in a tournament style contest, you probably wouldn't draft the 3rd, but in this one I would. Okay. Now Darrell Williams goes off the board, 198. Brevin Jordan, 199. The question is, do we go through? Do we just grab a receiver here and expect? Yeah, I think we're going to take a receiver here and expect that we end up getting a quarterback on the way back around. I know this pick's trash. You don't have to tell me. It's pick 201. I get it. We are going to take Jamison Crowder and just say, what if? What if? He's the starting slot wide receiver over Isaiah McKenzie, even though it's looking highly unlikely. But it's pick 201. Like, I honestly prefer Donovan Peoples-Jones over Jamison Crowder at this point in a vacuum. But on a Josh Allen build, I think we're going to be fine going elsewhere. And I think that should probably be it for this live stream. We're going to cut this at 2.5 hours, which I apologize. We still stream more than anybody else. But over the past 2 nights, we've gotten in 4-hour live stream. I mean, 3 to 4 hour live streams, which you can tell my voice is going. My voice is leaving my body. And next week, it looks like we may have to do that 24-hour stream. So last thing I can do is go into that 24-hour live stream with no voice at all. So let me grab y'all a link, of course, if you want to join a free fantasy football group chat. Here's a link. I mean, if you don't want to join, no harm, no foul, but this is completely free. Don't need an email. Don't need a credit card. Obviously, don't need anything. Like I said, it's completely free. All you do is click the link, choose whatever nickname you want to be, and then you're in a fantasy football group chat with a crap ton of people. There are best ball channels in there. There are redraft channels. There are also dynasty channels. So you can talk whatever you want. just make sure you're keeping it in the right spot. But thank you, everyone. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great night. I truly just want to let you know y'all are absolutely crazy for coming out here every single night. And I do really, really, really appreciate you. I'm going to be excited to get that live stream going tomorrow night.